And we're live. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our first review stream in way too long. It's been quite a while since we've done this. Too long, for sure. And honestly, that length of time is really reflected in the numbers of submissions that we got tonight. It's quite a bit. We have a lot of people. I was talking to Eric, and also I see behind the scenes here, we've got our whole a whole room full of people populated, ready to go. We're going to get started in just a minute. I want to say we have far too many people for me to be able to get through tonight. There's just no way. And so we talked about it. What we're going to end up doing is we're going to get through as many as we can tonight. And then we're going to do this again on Thursday. So if you don't get through tonight, we'll have to push it. There's just no way. It would take 4 hours, I think, Eric, to get through everyone. And I spent the whole weekend in New Jersey streaming. We were selling things. It was a totally different kind of a stream, but regardless, it was a very long, grueling weekend. It was fun, but it was a lot. And I got back buried in work, so I'm at this point tired. So anyway, we're gonna do tonight. We're gonna get as many as we can done, and then we're gonna also do Thursday night. So there you go. With that said, let's just get started because no one's here to listen to me, ramble on. So first, Eric, I don't know if you want to handle it.
What I'll do is I'll add in. I'll just take everyone who in the order in which they joined. We're really going to try and keep to a 10-minute per person schedule. We're really not trying to be rude. It's just trying to get through as many people as possible. And then, like Dave said, whoever we can't get to, we'll just, we'll try again on Thursday and see if we can get to as many as we can. So yes, I'm going to add, what's that?
Oh, I just want to say too that 10 minutes, I think, should be enough to really get through quite a bit. There will be times when it could be less than 10 minutes too. Just, if you show me work that's just glorious, we'll gush over it for a little while, but there's really not much to me to add if it's that great. So in that case, or if there's really not much there, it's not sequential and there's not a lot that I can talk about, then we'll move on just a little bit quicker. But all right, go ahead, Eric. Sorry.
All right. I think the first person is Devonte Thompson.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Thank you so much for coming. You're first in line. We're excited to have you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity of you guys, letting us show our work off and getting some feedback.
All right. So Eric knows how all this works, and I don't.
So Devonte, I have your email pulled up, so I'm going to.
Paul Essenson says, like button, smash it. Thank you, Paul.
Hopefully I have your pages in order. I'm going to go ahead and share here. Let's go. All right.
Let me make this a little bigger on my screen. There we go.
Is that your first page, Devonte? It is, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. All right.
Well, we're off to a strong start, I think. I definitely have some comments with the perspective, and I'm going to go ahead and start there. With panel one, I'm seeing I take it back. Okay, so I'm assuming that the top of that roof is not flat. It's like sloped upward.
Yes, I was kind of trying to, with the rendering, I was trying to show like a downward slope, kind of like a pyramid triangle on top of the building.
Right.
I'm not sure how well I achieved that, but that's kind of the look I was going for.
It kind of threw me a little bit, and I don't know if it's the shadow, the way that it's laid, but I don't know that that's wrong. And I'm looking at it for some reason, and maybe part of it is because the building it's almost in isolation until you look at the bottom of the panel, and that's the only reference for perspective through most of that panel. I see it as kind of looking down at that building just with a 1-point perspective, and then you see the rest of the buildings, and it makes it clear that it's not angled that way. I would almost maybe redesign the top just so it's less confusing, because it does kind of hit me just as a little confusing, and it's not wrong at all. So I don't want to criticize it too hard because it's really not wrong, but it kind of hits me that way.
Gotcha.
be a very small change, but I think it works very, very well. I do feel like the buildings at the bottom, I like how you kind of space them out, but they're very evenly spaced, and they recede backward in size, but they're a little bit evenly sized, and it ends up kind of throwing just a little bit. It doesn't really so much look like buildings that are lit for some of it as it does like shapes kind of floating maybe in lighter water, just a little bit. I would say, if I had a recommendation for that, I would say Jorge Safino or Sean Gordon Murphy is great for that kind of thing. Like those kinds of really small detail shots, I feel like that could use just a little bit of work. I will say I generally don't like a dark background on top of dark buildings. You have them outlined, but I think it would be maybe more effective if you did a gradient down toward the buildings instead of just outlining quite like that, and maybe leave that a little bit more for the color. To me, it's not ideal. And it would definitely require an inker to either interpret that as a hard line or to add those lines for you to kind of fade that down. So
gotcha.
It's very clean. So like everything's very clear. And I know if I was inking it, I know exactly what I would do. It would be fine. I would fade toward that just so it has like a nice gradient fade. But yeah, generally you don't want to leave it to an inker if you're working with an inker. The next panel, I like how it's angled down. I will say though that you're angled as you get toward the horizon. I think that the problem is you have a horizon that's in the picture, and then you have a very heavy. Your third point here. Let me try and explain it this way.
Yeah, like it's too close to the.
That's exactly
the
what
bottom of the panel.
It's because it's so close, it ends up reading very strangely when it gets into some of the buildings in the top here. Had you angled it much more softly, I think it would work in a panel where you have a horizon there. So it's just too extreme an angle. So that's
gotcha.
Eric.
Yes. Hold on. Lost his share, huh?
Did we? I don't know. All I can see is my screen.
There you go.
Okay, here we go. All right. I really think the lighting on the next panel. By the way, the folds on his clothing, I think, are very nice. They work well. I'm not going to say they're perfect. Mine are never perfect, but they're good and believable. And I really, really like how you define those windows. I think that works very well. They feel real and solid, and they have dimension to them. I think the next panel too, with the hand in the foreground with the cigar, that works well. Like it feels like a solid background and a floor that really works. I do think, I'm assuming you're using a relatively soft lead.
Yeah, I use HB.
Okay. This is an opinion thing because some people use an HB, but when you get to smaller figures like the Daredevil and some of the small figures in that third panel, 1, 2, the fourth panel, it starts to get very difficult to get the kind of detail that you need. And so it ends up being a little muddy to me. I think muddier than it should be.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I was definitely having trouble with those figures and erasing them and trying to redraw them.
Going more like a 2H or even just an H would really, really help with that a lot. I know I use a 2H for everything, really. It's not necessary. There are artists that will use like a harder lead for detail and then use a softer lead to fill in blacks because it's just easier. I don't do that just because I never have, and I'm such a creature of habit. But if you want to do that, I would do that. But I would not use a really soft lead for small figures because it can just end up with that sort of an issue. You would need to be able to go in there with ink yourself or rely on an inker that would really have to heavily interpret, and you don't want to rely on that. The last panel, I think, is framed nicely. I think it works well. And nice lighting on the third panel, by the way. It's a difficult lighting situation, and I think it works. I will say the rendering gets very small there. I always worry about that, and it depends on who inks it. If you ink it yourself, you can make that work. If you rely on an inker, a lot of times, in my experience, that can go very badly. Ideally, you shouldn't. I think with pencils, you shouldn't try to make a gray tone with your rendering quite so much. So, I've got a bit of a minimum spacing when I'm rendering. And so I would create that kind of a pattern, but I wouldn't want to start going, and because you're using an HB also, you're pressing lighter. So it ends up looking almost more like a softened kind of, it would take a lot of interpretation. That's all I'm saying. But I think, what you have there works well.
Gotcha.
I want to point out, actually, in the last panel, you have a dark lighting on his face and on his mask, and then on his face beside his nose, it's a much lighter lighting, and that's just not something that's possible to do using pen and ink. Like, that would have to be interpreted with line, if that's what you're going to do. But you really have to think in terms of solid black and white or very clearly defined line. If you do something that is a lighter shade tone, that's just not something an inker can interpret. Without heavily editing your work, and you don't want to put them in that position. And honestly, that's something that an editor will look at and say, okay, if we give this to an inker, it's going to take a lot of thinking through. And your work is very clean and tight, so you should not leave things like that start to fight interpretation. So I would say, either solid dark, solid light, or clearly defined line. And for your defined line, I would definitely recommend a soft or a harder pencil.
Gotcha.
Eric.
All right, got a couple of minutes.
Okay.
On the next page.
I don't know. Maybe I wonder if I can do it. No. Okay, you have to do it. All right. Okay, just at a glance, I'm going to say that I like this page actually quite a bit more, and I like the first one. That bookcase is freaking phenomenal. Like, that looks like a lot of work, but it just looks believable. Those are the kinds of backgrounds that make such a difference. I really like how you use perspective. It's very effective in that panel. I think that the placement of the figures is really well done in the perspective, and that's really the advantage of using perspective like that and then placing figures inside it, as opposed to what I see a lot of times is drawing a figure and then trying to place a panel around that figure, and it always ends up looking a little bit more tacked on. That really, really works very well. I think it's a great panel. Daredevil's Anatomy, I think, works very, very well. Your lighting is very internally consistent. It's very good. I will say, I do feel like your forms could use some refinement. Like, your hands are good. They're a little, in my opinion, and bear in mind, this is my opinion, I think they're a little bit soft and they can use just a little bit more definition. Maybe I really like, and this is an animation thing too, using hard lines and soft lines kind of in opposition to each other. And that can really, create a little bit more of a tension in your forms. So I would say that I think that it works very well. I think it's very good, and it's also a style, which is why I'm hesitant to say too much, but I'm thinking it as I'm looking. I would say that the Daredevil figure in panel 2, the foreshortening could use a little bit of work. I think it's all right, but that's a really, really tough angle to draw a figure. Very, very difficult. I would say maybe the best way to do something like that is, have you ever seen those? I've got some, but they're these little maquette kind of dolls, like these little gray things that you can pose. Yeah. I don't like them, and I don't use them too much, but I do like them for some things, and this is one of those things, and it can be very helpful with that.
I actually got one of those after I drew this panel because of this panel.
Okay, so there you go. Yeah, so you're on top of it. Daredevil's figure in not the next panel, but the next one with Daredevil, that is a great looking figure. And again, lighting is just really, really nice. I do feel like the anatomy, I do think could use a little bit more polish and a little bit more work to look believable, but the structure is there, the lighting is there, like all the fundamental things are there. I think it's just a little bit more study just to get some of the shapes looking a little bit more believable. And what is there though is really
good stuff.
Great, and a really nicely done panel. Looks difficult to have done. It's very complex. The panel just previous, that is actually really, really strong for shortening. I think that works great. Nice framing. Like, it's just a nice looking page. And that last panel looks great. It's really, really nicely done. I feel like looking at the pages, to me, everything is there. The one thing that I would say is things can look a little bit soft. And I would definitely recommend, maybe looking at some artists that do some harder lines and trying to incorporate that. I think that would really help. And some of the faces, like in the 1, 2, 3, the third panel, that face, the eyes, it's good. I think it could be better for sure with a little bit more study. Like it looks to me a little too cartoony, I think. And I feel like you have a style right now that there are elements that are very realistic, and then there are elements that kind of stand out as being a little cartoony. And so I personally think that they end up standing out as just being weaker as opposed to just being a style choice. So I would really look at, maybe working on some of those faces, those types of faces. Joe Quesada is such a great artist to look at for that kind of thing. I think it would, but I'm thinking of Joe Quesada because you're doing Daredevil too. But I think that would be a really good choice. Really strong pages though.
Good stuff.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I'll see you at OAX. I'm local.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I'll see you there. Yeah, definitely come by and say hi.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you. Have a nice day.
You too.
You too.
Bye. All right. Next up is
Hey guys.
How you doing?
Well, good. The three eyebrows.
That's right. Yeah.
The names, because I use different names, different places. Great to see you. It's an honor to be here in almost 3 a.m. in Poland, but I made it. So
I'm so glad. I'm so sorry that the time's different. Yeah, I know you're in Poland. It's great to see you again.
Yeah, I'm trying to find your email. What is your name in the? Oh, okay. Bogey B. Okay.
Yeah.
All
so
right.
it's a link to Drive because the files are big. So I didn't attach them. I just sent you a link. You can download them. There's 3 pages. I mean, because there was some confusion with whether it's 2 or 3 in the chat, but you can do the first 2 if it's 2, or it's fine with me. I just added an extra.
We decided, and then when I put the link up, I forgot, and so that's where the confusion came in.
Yeah, no worries. That's the first page. It's from a book I'm doing at the moment. It's I think page 5, and then the next one is page 10. Maybe you can zoom in a little bit because there's some detail here you're gonna miss.
I will try to. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, stuff still really, really nice. It's just so much fun to look at, and it's come along. Like I feel like your rendering has become much more subtle, and I love how even your dark shapes, a lot of them, like on his butt, basically it's not just completely dark. There's like some rendering in there which really helps kind of blend it in with a lot of the soccer rendering on the rest of the figure. I love all that stuff. That hand, his foreground hand, the one that's lower on the main figure, the lighting on that, it really reminds me of Sam Keith. There's a lot of I see some Sam Keith in there, and I don't know if that's an influence, but
some of this rendering you mentioned, I kind of stole from this guy. You probably know him, Chris Stevens. He's
yes. Okay,
cover artist. He does this sort of stuff, and I try to copy that.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. I love how you did the watercolor in the background too. That's definitely new and really interesting textures. Like in the upper panel there, it just gets a lot of depth. It's really nice.
Yeah, so this is ink washes, but I'm using this white thing called here Dr. P.H. Martin's bleed proof white, And that's
Okay.
all the white is that it's kind of water based, and the rest is just ink washes.
Yeah, it's very, very nice. I will say though, definitely proportionally, there are things that I think you really want to take a look at. In the really large figure, I mean, the anatomy is very, very cool. It's definitely stylized to an extent where it would push you into projects that kind of accept that sort of a style, something that, you know, can work in something really like larger than life and really different. I don't know that it's a style that would make it really easy to work on like a mainstream, you know, Marvel or DC book. That would make it, I think, difficult because it's very stylized, and they are receptive to some you know, stylistic interpretation, but they definitely have a limit. So, and it's not for me to say what that would be, but I would say that could be a challenge. His head is very, very large. I feel like in that panel and in the third panel along the side, which is such a great picture, right? Like the figure looks amazing, really dynamic. I definitely feel like the head is very large there. I would say, to me, it strikes me as enough of an issue that I think it's something you might want to look at. Basically a graph of how a figure breaks down. You know, roughly 8 heads high for your superhero figure, 6.5 or so heads high for a more of a standard figure, and really measure your head down through the figure that way, and do it like, and it's a simple thing. And, you know, I think it could feel like a step back, but I do think it could really help, because it is a fundamental problem that I'm seeing. And I think it could really hold you back. Just the proportions definitely get pretty, I think, further out there than you would want.
Got it. Eric, maybe you can download the image. Might be easier to zoom in. I don't know if that's an issue. Okay. Oh, okay, it works fine. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, that figure, the one that's kind of in the center of the screen right now, he's kind of floating downward. It looks incredibly cool. The way that you light your stuff is really, really nice, and it's very original. It's a really, really original style.
Well, I've learned and also, if something is wrong, I just missed it.
Yeah, the last panel, I think it looks really great. I just would say that it really depends on what you want. And I do think you know what you want. So I think it's fine. You definitely are working in a style that would suit you towards certain types of projects more than others. You know, when they're looking for a Superman artist, or looking for, you know, just like more of a standard superhero artist, you have all the skills, all the anatomy, and so much of that. But, you know, when it comes to you know, proportion and the amount of anatomy that you're putting on, and like it's so over the top that I think it could be a bit of a challenge. Like, I'm looking at that last panel. His hand actually, I think, is turned kind of fine, but it looks like you have the anatomy wrapped like all the way around the arm, so it looks like it's twisted almost twice. And his lat just under his arm really comes out on the one side there. I personally, I think that some of those things just get over accentuated more than I think you should. And I would really look at maybe, you know, kind of reining some of that in just a little bit. And I wouldn't want to suggest something that I think would, you know, negatively impact what you're trying to do. But I would look at maybe pulling back just a little bit and seeing how that works. The face in the bottom panel, the larger face in the lower corner there, the wrinkling on his brow is almost on like a stomach. So that's something I would definitely take a look at. It's not really done like wrinkles, and this is where just using a mirror and kind of scabbling I think would really help with that. It's a very specific kind of wrinkle. It's almost more like clothing folds in some ways than muscle. So I would take a look at that area for sure. I think style aside, that I don't think works.
Makes sense. Thank you.
We'll go to the next page, Dave.
By the way, I mean the lighting on his legs. I'm looking at the big figure again, just the subtlety and all that rendering. This is, I mean, you've always, but you had a really nice feel to your work, but it's such a massive step up. And like on his shirt, the way that all of the lighting works together with your rendering, I think is really, really strong. It's a skill that I think you really developed over the last little while. It's really, really impressive.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, next page.
Yeah, you can skip this one. You can go to page 2 because I added this just in case there's time. But let's keep this. Yeah, this one. It's a double page spread, and this one I included it on purpose because it's so different than the previous one because it's supposed to be like a dream sequence, and I did it in watercolor. No ink here other than the outlines. So yeah, just to show something else. This one is more recent too.
It's beautiful. It's really
maybe
amazing.
Zoom in a little bit too, Eric. But yeah, I try to put as much into it as I could. With the watercolor, it's a little difficult at 11 by 17. But yeah, I tried.
Yeah, I mean, you put everything into it, that's for sure. But it all reads like really well and at a glance, which, considering it is relatively monochromatic, it's really, really impressive. It looks amazing. I love this style that you're using. Lighting works so well, which I guess shouldn't be a surprise because it's so strong in your other work, but it doesn't always translate. It certainly doesn't for me if I try watercolor. It's really, really very pretty. I feel like the style actually, I don't know if the style suits your faces more, or if the faces are maybe just a little bit stronger because it's a little more recent too. But I think I love the last page. So many things about it, but there are some weaknesses, I think, also, and I'm not seeing those on this page in the same way. I think this just really it really works, and I feel like those elements of your style are coming together on this page quite a bit. Like the faces, there's a lot of emotion, very nicely done. By the way, the lighting on your brow on both of those large male faces looks great. So yeah, I feel like your work is just coming. By the way, that other page that we just looked at for a second was so freaking good. Like amazing. I mean, if you wouldn't mind, I wouldn't mind. Yeah, I mean, look at that.
This was supposed to be like a alternative cover, and I did it in the color is in watercolor, but I kind of regret doing that because I don't know, the watercolor, maybe the color decisions, let's say, were not the best. But yeah, if you look at there's a lot of work that I put into this.
Yeah, certainly is, and I think the color looks amazing. Now I don't have like I'm not in your head to know what you had planned, but what you have, what you've come out with, I think that this type of work from you is, I mean, if I were you, this is the way I would want to go. It just really, really pops. Like, I think it's beautiful. It's really, really nice. Yeah, I just feel like it brings everything together so well. I think that a publisher like Heavy Metal, or some of the more adventurous publishers would love to put out a project with something that looks like this. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
thank you. I mean, yeah, I'm trying to finish this maybe this year, and then I'll try to send it out and see if anyone wants to publish it. Because yeah, I have the whole idea in my head. I'm on page 13 now out of 20. And then I have a couple of chapters in the future that maybe I can do, but yeah, we'll see.
Have you approached anybody about collaborating at all?
No, not really. No, I don't even know how to start about it. I mean, I know some people are like on Twitter asking each other, but Yeah, I have like 100 followers on Instagram. I don't have Twitter, so I don't even know where to begin, to be honest. If you have any advice on how to, where to go for collaborators, that'd be nice. But no, I haven't tried that.
Best advice that I have, and I don't know how good it is exactly, but I know when Meredith, my wife, was looking for artists, she put things up on Facebook, and artists submitted things on Facebook, and for a few different projects, that's how she found the artists that she worked with. So I think that can be a way to go. I mean, there can be a lot of frustration in working that way because you can not get paid and projects can fall apart and whatever. But I do think that with the kind of work that you're doing, and I don't know, but I do think that, starting with like a Marvel or DC would be more difficult. I think, really building a name, doing more esoteric type projects, I think you could build something very, very quickly. Yeah, it's beautiful. I'd love to see a book like this, done like by a French publisher, in a nice, hardcover format, 50 odd pages, something like that, all done watercolor. I think it'd be absolutely beautiful, and I think it would do very well. It's really, your work is coming together amazingly well. I still hold on to the fact that I feel like the head was way too big on panel 1. Or like the first page, it's definitely too big.
Maybe it's all the caricatures I'm doing. It's they influenced. There's always big wobbly head there.
Yeah, and I think it's something that really works. But I do think that you should rein it in. My opinion, but this is a style thing, and this is always anytime we do a review. You know how it goes. I can give my opinion, but it is really an opinion, and it's cartooning, so you can break all the rules you want to break, and with your style, I think you're definitely more free to break rules than somebody that's trying to do something more mainstream. But still, I feel like it went, I think, a little too far.
Got it. Well, thank you very much, and yeah, it was great to meet you again. And so I leave, right, in order to free space for the other guys. Well, thank from the StreamYard, right, Eric?
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
In this case, thank you very much, and have a nice evening. Bye bye.
Yeah,
We'll
you
see
too.
we'll see you at the end of the month.
And thank you so much for staying up for us.
No problem. Say yes.
Bye. LAX.
All right.
All right. Next up is Elijah Brain. There we go.
Can you hear me?
We
Yes.
can. Thank you so much for coming on.
And thank you for doing this.
My pleasure. So Eric is pulling it up, and here we go. It's very interesting. I would say at a glance, it's missing some things right now. It looks like you're leaving space for word balloons. Okay. The panel borders are very small and not very defined. So it looks a little bit like not connected drawings. So just in terms of overall page design, I would say that that's something that I would consider is making your panel borders. Okay, so a couple of things actually. So Eric, if you wouldn't mind, well, you know what? Maybe you can just see it here. I'll just show you.
Oh yeah, I can go
Okay.
to there. For some reason, StreamYard kicks the share away, but I can always
Okay.
I can reshare it. It's fine.
So on any page, when you design a page, if you want a panel, it needs to go along this interior. I'm off my page here. It needs to go along this interior line. So this would be panel 1, and it doesn't need to line up with this. These hashes are just kind of a useful thing for your ruler, but I could draw it anywhere. But I'm going to draw a panel 1, and I could draw, maybe another panel here inside, and this is all within your panel area. If I do this, if I want something to bleed though, what I would not do. So I've got one panel kind of lined up here, here. What you can't do is ever draw to this line, because this is actually the trim line, and that is where the printer will cut the page. So anything out of here won't print, but you need to draw out to the outside edge because otherwise they'll end up with an odd border. So if you want something to full bleed, you draw all the way out to this far line here. So that's what that is. That it represents like a full bleed panel that goes all the way past the edges. So, you know, maybe an example of that would be here. So in this page of Spawn, what he's drawing here inside this border is inside these lines here. And so that's where your panels go. If you want something to bleed out to the edge, you shoot past that and you go all the way out to your outside line. You cannot stop at that trim line. That'll give you problems. So bear that in mind when you're doing panels. Your panel borders are very, very small. I think they need to be wider, and I think you should be using something just a little bit thicker to define them a little bit easier, because I'm not really reading them. And you're also drawing all the way out to your bleed line, which would make your panels, all of them, bleed off the page, which is something that you really don't want to do. You want to do that for effect, or you can have a splash page, but you can't have every panel bordered out to the edge. It's just not something that a publisher will accept. So just bear that in mind at first. All right, Eric, if we could.
All right.
There we go. All right. And so at the top of the page, I think I can see a face kind of up there, just above the door there. And then there's a blank space at the top. And so just from a reading it perspective, I feel like I'm not sure. I feel like I'm missing something there. And this is why I say, just in terms of layout, it's confusing. So I'm going to say that. But then in terms of the actual art, I think the books look great. I love how you're doing all of your background line work. Like you're using a ruler, you're breaking up the line, which gives it quite a bit of life. So it has a really nice, pleasing cleanliness to it, but it's not just overly clean to the point where something can start looking a little clinical. I think it works. You do have some lines that are drawn right through those books that I don't know that you would want that to be in the final art. That some relatively thick lines kind of just pushing right through things. And that can also make things just a little bit, I feel like, confusing. So it's just simple things like that, like panel borders and just some choices like that. I think the art, I haven't even talked about the art really yet. I love how you did the hair. Very, very nicely layered. I don't think I've seen like more of a dreadlock style hair done quite like that. And it really, really looks nice. It's all using a lot of negative space, which I love. So I like how you did it. It has a lot of just directional interest to it. I like how you've done your folds for sure. I like how you're doing your detailing. It's very minimal with your line work, but I think it works really nicely. It's to me, it almost reminds me of like a Kim Jong-gi sort of a style, a little bit. I don't know, but I think it really works. And the faces are good. Like the figures are good. Like that's a great hand in the second panel or the first panel. And to be honest with you, I'm not actually sure, but he's holding the book and it's a really nice looking hand gripping that book. It's maybe not perfect on the book because the palm of his hand would probably be resting in the corner, maybe, but whatever, the hand looks nice. I really do like how you're defining your rendering. Just so that it's like a relatively simple line shape, just dotting out your line. I think it's very effective looking. And the last panel is very interesting. It's very cool. I cannot tell how it connects, but that's all right. That's a whole different thing. In terms of the actual art itself, I think there's a lot of interesting things going on. I do think that judging from this page alone, and maybe we should move on to the second page just to...
Okay.
So I do get a better sense of the storytelling with this page. You're still bringing your panels all the way out to the outside edge, and actually past all the way, it looks like, to the edge of the paper. So you really want to use the space on the paper kind of as designed. It just makes everything much easier for publishers, colorists, and everyone to understand. I do feel like there's quite a bit of dead space, like at the top of panel 1 and panel 3. He's drawn through on panel 2. His shoulders kind of drawn through the panel. I don't know if that's something you would fix later, but I would try to not do that as much as you can. I think the fourth panel, very, very strong. It looks like a really nicely done architectural drawing almost. I love it. Like it's like reflections in a window. It just looks great. I do feel like the two faces in the bottom of the page start to come away from what I would consider to be more like standard human proportion, just maybe a little bit too much. It's an interesting kind of anime sort of style. I would think personally that if you're going for more of an anime style, because it's not anime, I think you know what I mean, like Japanese influence style. I would personally want to work on making your faces more attractive. I think they're well drawn, but proportionally, I think that they could be more conventionally attractive. I do think that it is an important thing. It's an entertainment medium, and people react very well to attractive people. So it's an important skill, and it's something that I would think would help with both of them. They start to almost look slightly like a not entirely human. Like the space between the mouth and the nose is relatively large. Just a few things like that. But yeah, really, really nicely done.
Good stuff.
Okay.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks so much, Elijah.
Okay, bye.
All right, let me load up Chris V. Let's see.
Hello.
Hi, Chris.
Hello.
Hi. I feel like I misunderstood the assignment, but I still took up the challenge and tried something new. So,
All right, and maybe that's true, and we'll see what you have. But really, the whole idea of this is to show your work and get a criticism, and then obviously to decide how much of that criticism actually is helpful for you. I'm a very specific kind of artist. And that's something I think all of you watching need to bear in mind. Is my opinions are certainly not universal, and I tried to not shade what I think of anybody's art too much based on what I think it should be, because it's not my art. But it's impossible for me to not do that to some extent. All right. Anyway,
All right, that's Chris Valdez, right?
yes,
Okay.
I honestly started getting back into traditional art because I started watching your streams and videos. So,
oh, it's great to hear.
helped a lot. Yeah.
Mm-mm. Very cool. I do see what you mean. It's definitely very different. It's like a more of a collage than storytelling. I think the proportions are by and large relatively good. I do feel like the girl at the top of the left-hand side, you've got all the figures, and the girl that is at the top, her arms are just a little bit short for her body.
Yeah.
So you really want to think about the elbows as kind of reaching basically to about the belt line. I think it's just a bit of a better rule of thumb, and your hand should just come below your crotch level, just past your crotch level, which I would imagine they kind of would, but I would work on just overall proportion just a little bit more. You're going for more of a cartoony style. I do think that there's a certain amount of you've got a relatively thick line around everything. Maybe working with a little bit more variety to your line weight. There are times like you've got some cross hatching with some very thick line, and that's something you don't want to go too thin with cross hatching, but going really heavy with it can maybe be, I think, just a little bit distracting. And there's a lot of different types of texture, which I think can really work, but it also can kind of distract. And because you have a simple style, I feel like there are places where it's kind of distracting. On the third head down, the guy's holding his glasses. You've got some line kind of indicated on his face for shadow, but it's just kind of broken line. I would definitely avoid that. You really want to think of your lines as, and the face just above it too. It's a very pronounced larger line. I think that they would be better off just without it completely, or if you do have it, your lines also they have quite a bit of curve to them, and that, generally speaking, that's a result of, so and don't worry about zooming in, I'll go big here, but for me, the best way for me to draw a line is just to throw my hand this way. This is my easiest way. So I can get a pretty clean and even curved line, or I can try and go a little straighter. I'm not perfectly straight. That's not too bad. Generally, that's about as far as I really want to go with a single stroke. It depends on the kind of, like, some artists can just really cruise right across the page. I can do one line like that, but if I try and match it, I just can't do it. But at a smaller size, I can get pretty good, and I can go relatively small and be pretty even. And that's because it's practice. It's not a huge amount of practice to get that, but it's also because I'm running along my hand. If I try and push along my hand in a more unnatural way, I just cannot get that kind of simple, clean line. And you can see these are much shakier. They have some weird hooks on them, and they push off in different ways. And I'm getting that sense from your work, and it's because you're pushing against your hand unnaturally. So you really want to figure out which way flows. I'm a lefty, so I'll be different, but you want to figure out which way flows along your wrist the easiest. I can also pull lines this way. It's basically the same thing. I'm just going the other way. And I find this is pretty effective for me. I can come up like this if I bring my hand around, and I can do this decently well, but there are angles where I just can't do it. So I would work with that a little bit to try and avoid this kind of thing here, which I definitely see in some of your line work.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
And another thing you might want to consider is line weight. So it's very good to have thick line in some places, but you don't want to. You know what? There are artists that do thick line everywhere, and it looks beautiful. So there's no hard and fast rule, but it can help using line weight. I think your work is coming along. It doesn't look like you're going for a highly anatomical style. And if you are, I would definitely focus on that for a little while, focus on the fundamentals quite a bit more, really work with your basic forms, and build your figures in a bit more of an academic way, because it's missing now, but that's not necessarily an important thing for something that's very different. It can be a hard go working in a really different cartoony style. Or not. I don't know. I just don't have the experience with it to really tell you. So, ignore that. I really don't know. I know how to have a career doing the kind of work that I do. And I've certainly seen artists that have more of a Jim Food, I think, is a great example of an artist that has a really out there kind of cartoony style. But he also has, to back it up, really, really strong figure drawing. So I would say that's something that you could also focus on quite a bit is to just, because you're going for something that is not, a traditional comic style, you're going for something, different and a little more, creative, maybe doing some figure drawing, figure studies, sitting outside and drawing some people, the subway or whatever it is. I think that you could really benefit from that, and it could bring a lot to what you have here.
Yeah, those two are definitely things that I wanted to practicing some more figure drawing and line weight.
All right. You know, in this page, actually, I think some of those things actually work nicer. I really like how you did the rendering on the legs and the figure to the left, how you kind of curve them around. It's unusual, but there's a design sense to it, and I always like that. It's pleasing when you see lines working, or you know, anything in a figure working to kind of aid a design. I think it really works. The robot in the bottom panel, I like how you broke up the line with his rendering and created a little bit of a lip of lighting. It really reminds me, it's got a little bit of Mobius in there. I do think that the figures certainly need work. The folds need work. There really aren't clothing folds, so that's something that I would focus on. I think that life drawing could really help with that, actually. Just getting a natural feel for that. And things right now are relatively simple in terms of the angles that you're choosing for your faces, and just they're fine. But I do think some life drawing, if that's more the style you're going for, or some study of artists that draw faces and different things in a more of a pleasing way would help. A big part of it is learning the direction you want to go in as an artist, and then focusing on. There's always artists that do that well, and I think trying to just be an island unto yourself makes things impossible is a big word, but pretty close. So look at artists that do the kind of work that you want to do, and look at what they do well, and try and focus on those things. And I would say clothing folds, general anatomy. He looks like he's got on his foreground foot, the large figure on the left, it looks like the wrong foot on his foot, and it's just an angle issue. But
I see. Like yeah.
So there are places where it can be just a little bit unrefined in that way, but I think it's coming along well.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right. CD Ginsburg.
We're making good time. We're doing all right. Hello.
All right. Let me find your email.
Thank you so much for coming on. I love the hat.
What did you send the email? What did you send the email in as?
Ginsburg Radio.
I do not find.
Let's see.
Oh, hold on. I think I have it.
All
Chad, Chad, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. There we go.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate this. It's an honor.
Well, yeah, my pleasure. I'm glad to be able to do this. It's been too long.
That's the second page, but that's totally fine.
That's the second. Let me load the first one for you.
Sir. So both of these are digital works, and so some stuff didn't come through as dark as I'd hoped it would when I kind of got it done, but
I think it really works, though. I think it looks nice. Her hair looks phenomenal. The hair blowing back from her, her ponytails, her figure just in general, I think looks really good. The gorilla looks great. Mouth looks great. The mouth is open nicely. So many times you see the mouth open and it's just right down instead of pushing back because it's hinged. So that works really well. And the teeth too are hinged properly back. Like I think that all really works very, very well. All in all, I really like it. I will say, behind him, he's got something burning. I can't tell what it is.
Gotcha.
There are some shapes in there, but it's not reading. So I would imagine that if I had seen the previous page, that would make a little bit more sense. But that could be maybe just a little bit clearer. It gets a little sketchy, I think. Some of those lines start. It looks to me, it looks like a more of a layout back there than finished art.
Yes.
All in all, I think the hair on the gorilla looks really good. There are a few places where it kind of fights. And to me, it's some of the places where you went back in with white, which is such a great thing about digital. You know, working in black and white on paper, it's so much harder to do that. But I do think that on his shoulder, some of the line work starts to kind of fight the idea of it being fur just a little bit.
Gotcha.
So the next page, Dave?
No.
Okay.
The rendering on his chest definitely is really loose. That's something I would really, and on his face too. Like it all goes in a nice direction. It all works. It's too loose. So I would really look at, you know, and it's just drawing like lines like this. They become very, very easy to do when you get a feel for it. It completely eliminates the problem of having those sorts of lines. It's a very kind of easy thing to start to get a feel for it. And I would really work on that because overall the work is strong. Where it starts to fall apart for me is in some of the looser render lines that start to just look like they're sketched and incomplete.
Right.
And I think it'd be no more difficult to actually make those lines clean as it would be to put them in the way that you have them. It's just a matter of, you know, just giving that just get a feel for it. I don't think it'll take long at all. And I think it'll make a huge, huge difference. Like I do like how you've angled them across the chest. I think it all works.
I've tried to find, you know, pencil drawings from gentlemen like yourself and Jim Lee. And I'm trying to practice more with that on the digital system and get a feel for those lines.
Yeah, you know, so I would say a really good exercise. This is such an inking exercise, but if you draw like an oval, I'm just gonna draw an oval, and I'm gonna imagine it has a bit of a round like this. Like this would be the shape basically. So that's a bit of a 3D shape, and I'm gonna just. And when I'm using a pencil, I have to build up my line here because my lighting I'm imagining is coming from this direction. So I want it thicker here and then lighter as I get toward my light. But what's really important is I get something that's nice and even and flows along the form. So I don't always, I never draw lines like this to kind of define my form, but I know what I'm doing when I'm doing it. So I kind of have that working in my head as I'm going. And so I want to keep it consistent. So if I draw a line, I don't want one line to stick way out like this. And what's really important is I don't want a line to come up like this and then deviate off, because immediately that completely destroys the idea of the form that I'm creating there. And I need something that evenly flows across the surface, because what I'm really doing with rendering like this, and I kind of came off with that one, is I'm creating a gradient from dark to light, and I'm doing it with line as opposed to using shade, which an inker just can't interpret. And while that's not a limitation that modern comics really have, I mean, modern printing can deal with shaded tones. It generally is more pleasing to have something that's done this way. I like it more, and it seems it's for the standard for sure. And if you do have line, for sure, like on his chest, I'm just going to do a version of his chest here. So you had an arm kind of here and the other arm, but the important thing is this would be basically my form lines for the chest, just so I kind of have an idea of the shape that I've got there. And so I'm going to render along that chest, and I want to make sure that I'm being nice and clean and I'm flowing along that form. And I can angle across this way and start to, but I'm not losing that form. I can go a little bit thicker as I'm coming away because my lighting is from here, which is how you had it. If I come more thick here, that can start to push things around the corner just a little bit. And then this way I'm using the rendering to really, define the form, as opposed to just something that is a little bit more kind of haphazard, which kind of can make a bit of a mess. I could draw a bit of a cast shadow here, just going thicker with my line. Or I could go crossways, and I've already kind of have that defined, just like this. But the point is, it needs to be much, much more controlled.
Right. What helped you overcome when you started running cross hatches along your hatches? What helped you keep from them becoming, or at least learn to get around them getting too dark on top of each other, or starting to fade at the right place?
That's actually a very good question. So from getting too dark on top of each other, as long as I keep my spacing pretty consistent, I can do another set of lines just on top of this, and my spacing is basically the same, and that's kind of fine. I can do another one this way, and it will start getting darker, but because my spacing in my direction is very even, no matter how dark it gets, it stays clean and readable. So it still can really work. And I'm going to draw some lines just upwards. And then I can go across this way. And kind of start to fade out. And then I can do another one here. And I don't necessarily recommend getting too carried away, putting too many lines on top of each other. You can, and it can really work. And if you stay controlled, it's fine, but you can also drive yourself crazy doing that. I tend to like to I like to go thin to thick, or thick to thin. So I've got a nice thick line, and then I go out to a thinner line. And the length of my line really depends on the shape of my form. So if I have a form with a really, now I'm drawing basically a sheet with a round here, I'm going to keep these lines pretty thin because my light's up here. And so I don't want line all through there. I just want it to define that round.
Okay.
But if I drew something that has a really soft gradient down and I'm lighting from above, then my line would be much longer and soften out longer. So that's how I would kind of figure out how long I want that to be. And it really does just depend on how fast you want to turn your form. So that's really what it comes down to.
Thank you very much.
All right.
I will say just quickly.
All right.
Well, you can stay here. That's fine. Oh, okay.
Sorry.
You have a great sense of the directionality with your rendering, which means you have a great sense of the form that you have. Like on his face, all of that rendering really is accentuating the shapes that are underneath it. I think it's too messy and it could be much better. But what you have there is strong. And that's a really great place to start.
Thank you.
I think panel one is very, very strong. Really nice lighting. It's a cool looking figure and nicely framed. Like it's a very professional looking shot. The next panel I think looks good. It's well laid out. To me, I feel like their shoulders across from the first panel to the second panel are kind of along the same line. The figures aren't exactly the same size, but compositionally it's a little bit more, samey than I would want it to be. So I wouldn't personally have done it that way. I think changing the angle maybe just a little bit more would have helped with that. You have your horizon essentially at their chin level, maybe just a little bit lower, like the top of their shoulder level. Maybe lowering your horizon, so your point of view. So one figure is higher up in the panel than the other, and compositionally you get something just a little bit more interesting. Only because it's similar to the first panel, more so than I would want it to be, ideally. I think the next panel is fine. The figure works well. Again, your rendering works well with the figure. You have a nice sense of darks and lights, and I think all of that really works. I don't 1,000% love the framing, but I don't hate it either. I think it's fine. The next
I was getting used to because you were chatting with the other gentleman about it, getting used to that idea of where things will get cut off. Like Clip Studio has this cool element that will let you now make it look like you're going to go into a book, so you can see what everything will frame up in as a book, and that's helping with the next set of stuff I'm doing, where I can really expand out better than I was doing when I was working with this, because I was worried about things being cut off.
Okay, yeah, I think that's great. Yeah. The next panel definitely needs work. So you have the hand running right along the bottom of that panel, like the panel line, and it's pushed right up to it. Like the hair is directly resting on the panel line, so it's creating a bit of an odd tangent because it's hair, but it just almost looks like it's resting along that panel, and then his knuckle is resting along the interior panel border. So that's definitely a tangent that you really want to avoid. I feel like storytelling works. The framing, I don't think works, especially when you consider that in the last panel you have, I would think, to create panels like that, it would be to make that last panel really work, or at least one of those panels really work. And I don't think any of them actually really benefit from that panel shape. Like that last panel, if you were to do something where, here, Eric, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure.
So you've got your panels shaped like this, and you've got a figure going across here. So it's really not using that panel at all. But if you were to have that figure flying out towards you, and then like a burst coming, so here's an arm. I mean, I'm here's my head, eyes. Like I'm not gonna draw a nice figure here, but imagine that that I did draw a nice figure. But the point is that I'm kind of using that frame. And she's flying out toward me, then I would feel like you're actually using that space. But the way that you have just a small figure here and then directly across, it's not using that space really. I don't think there's no reason to have your panels angled that way, because it's not working well for that. I would say the panel where you have the arm kind of just along here, what I would maybe consider doing is you've got the hand up here, and then maybe you could start to bring the hand, down more. Something like this. Kind of thinking on the fly here, how that could, you know what? I would need to actually really go through, because he's hitting her and then she's flying out. I would need to actually kind of go through the storytelling more. But what you don't want is something that just rests along the panel and then butts up against this panel border here.
Right.
So compositionally, definitely, I would look at how that is framed.
Right, thank you.
But yeah, nice looking work, and attractive figures.
Appreciate it. Do you have a recommendation for us on how to? Because for me, like that first panel, you get into the idea of blacking so much out in standard US comics that like you do that work and then you start to look at it and you're like, I don't want that to go away. I've done so much work there that I don't want to hide it with all that dark. Is there at least a psychological way that helped you kind of overcome worrying about that in the process?
It was mostly just when I started. I remember putting so much detail and work into backgrounds and different anatomical things and worrying about it. And I still would worry about this stuff, but I would get the page back and there'd be a massive word balloon over everything that I did. And the first time that happened, I was pretty upset. The second time I was like, well, this is the job, And so I started letting that go. And that also started as I drew more pages. I would draw, maybe a face that I was really, really happy with, but it just wasn't working for the page. It didn't work. And so I would either just completely erase it and let it go because it's not working. And that's what's most important. Or if I needed to draw a shadow and completely obliterate it, I'd just be willing to do that because I'll be able to draw a face in the next panel. And what works for the story is most important. So I try not to worry. I do think with figures or with anything, with backgrounds, whatever it is, important shots you want to frame and plan in a way that makes them work as well as possible and be as attractive as possible, or as, you know, intimidating as possible to get the drama out of it that you want to get. But it all has to serve the story first. So I don't sweat that too much generally because of that.
Gotcha. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Good to have you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. All right. Next up, we have Daniel Gonzalez. Let me find your submission.
Hi, Daniel. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Eric
having
is having
me.
to work a lot harder than I am here.
All right. There we go.
Yeah, very, very nice. I really like it. There's a lot of different things going on in there. I see like a little bit of Arthur Adams, like early Arthur Adams in some of the faces in a really nice way. The backgrounds, it'd be more difficult for me to place, but they're very creative. Really nice. I love how you did in the last panel, the robot breaking the panel border, and you really showed just how effective it is breaking a panel border properly and having panels that allow you to create that effect. I feel like I can see some you know what, I'm a little tired and I always draw a blank on names anyway. I'm not gonna remember, but yeah, really, really nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Eric.
Awesome rendering.
For being relatively loose, you could say, like they're not all ruled, they're really controlled and really nice. And when it's done well, and it's so difficult to do, non-ruled buildings done like that are, I think, always the most appealing. They just have a life to them that you don't get any other way. Yeah, those faces at the top are so nice. I mean, I feel like I could say, okay, the top face of the guy there, it's not it's a handsome face, but not. And it could be more handsome if you were like more on model, but I don't think that's what you're really going for. So I think for what you're going for, it's perfect. It looks really great. Is Arthur Adams an influence?
Yes.
Okay.
I like him.
Yeah. In such a great way. It's going to drive me nuts if I can't think of it. One of my favorite artists too. He was a huge influence for me on like a lot of things. Anyway,
Sam Keith, Dave?
No, bit of an older Michael Kaluta. So I don't know if that's an influence, but I see some of that in there. Yeah, really, really nice rendering. I love how you're doing the kind of interlocking cross hatching on some pieces there. It breaks it up a little bit to create, you know, some different form. Really, really nicely done. It's very interesting work. I guess if I had one criticism with this one is I just want to see the next one. By the way, sorry, Eric.
Yeah.
Her arm and hand, both of those hands are so great. Like really, really nice. The anatomy on her arms it's very nice. The gestures are really nice. I do think that you have a terrible tangent with the tip of her foot with the shape below. And that's something that actually is very distracting. I would fix that because it does actually, it makes things, it's incredible how something like that can confuse something. And I do think it does there. So I would really avoid that. Yeah, a great figure. That I'm guessing that Superman flying away.
Yeah, he's like a knockoff.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's a great little figure.
Awesome. Next page there?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm waiting for Eric to zoom in.
It's lagging.
Okay.
Do you see it?
I can, yeah.
Okay.
There's so much detail, and it's so nicely done. I want to see it, closer. But his anatomy looks great. The figure looks great. There's so much depth to that. I think it looks amazing. I will say this. It looks like early work from somebody that is incredibly talented and, really good. And I say early work because there are a few odd things, like his leg that is pushed backward there. That lower leg definitely starts to look a little bit odd, not only in terms of the shape, which I think is a little bit too accentuated, but also the anatomy starts to, like, you've got anatomy kind of wrapping up and past his knee a little bit. So it just looks strange. And that is it's a foreshortened leg. So it kind of represents different challenges, and I feel like he kind of struggled with that one, and it shows there. Whatever, work on it for sure, because it could be better. But like the overall figure is so great. I do think that you have dots of line on his figure everywhere to such an extent that it's too much. Like there are lines and dots. I think that you went a little bit too much with the dots. So to me, it gets just a little distracting, and that's why I say it's like. There's so much to it. It looks great, but it still looks like early work where you haven't completely figured out exactly the style yet. It's like, but I don't even think that's a bad thing. I mean, it's really, really, it's great looking stuff. The anatomy looks great. Like his arm, the one that he's holding up the guy, that arm looks great. The other arm looks great. Your anatomy is very, very strong. All in all.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really, really nice looking work. His face is very strange in that bottom panel. Superman, not Superman, but Superman's face. Like his nose is very short when you consider. And so I feel like the problem with his face is that you have it tilted upward, so you see his nose very foreshortened, but you have his ears placed alongside the eye. So if you tilt your face up, so your nose is really foreshortened, your ears will really push down. And I can see it on your face there. So here, I'll show you on a picture. It might be okay. So here's my head. Here's my eye line. If I draw an ear here, an ear here, an eye here, an eye here, and then my nose like this and my mouth like this, it's going to end up looking very strange. In order to make that work, I'm going to draw my head shape again. I'm going to round my eyes up like this. Here's my nose line here. My ears are going to be way down here. So I've got an eye here. An eye here. Now my nose can be here, and it's not going to look like a short little nose because the ears are drawn kind of in the right position. You see what I'm saying there? So it's just a foreshortening issue that makes it look really strange. It's like it's missing a part of what it needs to sell it. But it still looks really cool. Like I honestly think you could get away with it because it's just cool. But it should be better. Like that should be better.
Yes.
The bottom figure. I do feel like the dots again. I feel like are a little bit much. Whatever. The hand. There's some like Todd McFarlane in there, but then like the anatomy. Like I can see. The shape of the upper anatomy through the fingers, it's really, really nicely defined. I think it's just cool looking work. Like it's very unusual, but it's really, really cool.
Yeah, I want to read the comic.
That face just above with the really awesome lighting. If you just go up just a little higher there. Yeah. I do feel like the eyes get a little bit broken up. Like there are a few places where your rendering style can kind of start to break just a little bit, and it's totally readable, and it works. It's totally fine. Like I think it looks really good, but I do think that having a bit more of a solid line to really define more important forms would be helpful. Like maybe the interior line of his lips there, just making that a little bit more solid. The line just defining his eye, like the upper lid, making that maybe a little bit more solid. Just kind of playing with that a little bit, because they start to look less solid than I think would be ideal, but whatever. It looks great. It's really cool looking stuff. Your proportions are definitely unusual. Like his nose is very small compared to his eyes. So that just really depends on what you're going for. You know what? Like there's Daniel Warren Johnson who draws like this crazy wild style. And I would have said, oh, I don't know, because that's not what they're looking for. So what do I know? Like nothing. So, don't listen to me when it comes to style. If it looks cool, it is cool. I could imagine this going very, very far. I think you're going to do really, really well with it. I just think it's really, really interesting work and very appealing and different, which, I think people want that. So yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah, good stuff. I want to read the comic. I want to read the rest of it.
I am a fan.
Thank you.
How old are you?
20.
20.
If anyone here wants to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram at blah bob.
All right. Well,
Sorry,
thank you for that.
Yeah. Good stuff.
With work that strong, we'll allow it. So you know what? What is it again?
Blah. B-O.
Blah?
Yeah, like as in B-L-A-H, then
B-L-A-H?
blah, like blah, 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 like what
Yep,
someone's talking.
right.
And then Bo, and then Bob.
Blah, bo, bah.
Yeah.
On Instagram.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, you know what? Look, if you're going to come in here with work that's that good, I'm going to say, generally speaking, that's not something that we prefer to do here, but I think you deserved it with work that solid.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks so
And
much.
you're young, 20. Well, yeah, way to go. Thank you very much. I'm glad you brought it for us to look at.
Thank you. That means a lot.
Thanks, Daniel.
See you.
All right. Let's see. Next up.
Hey guys.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm super excited.
Yeah, my pleasure. Our pleasure.
All right. Did you send 2 emails?
Yeah, I sent 2 because I didn't know there was like a no pinup rule. So I sent another
it's all right.
page. Yeah.
Is your first page the first email?
Yeah, it should be.
I mean, this is all good stuff. I think Dave's probably going to want to see all of it. So I'm just going to start here. Hopefully this is the correct first page. If
it's not really in order, so it doesn't really matter. It's just kind of its own thing. Yeah.
The no pinup rule is really just because you get more out of panel to panel storytelling.
Right. Yeah.
There's more to look at critique, but it's not a hard and fast rule.
So this page, I kind of wanted to approach it in a different way because it's kind of like an obscure scene I'm kind of conveying here because this monster is kind of emerging from another monster. So I kind of wanted to like catch the obscurity in it with the panel layout. So I know it's not very traditional, but
it's not. And I mean, that can be a real problem when you're showing stuff that has a really non-traditional page layout.
Right.
They do not like that.
This is for my creator-owned project, by the way.
Oh, okay. So yeah, there you go. That's very different. Yeah, look, I would say if I was critiquing this just on the basis of showing it as samples, it doesn't have backgrounds and some things that they need to see. But what is there, and this is your own work anyway, but what is there is really it's very, very, very good.
I appreciate it.
Lighting is very consistent. All of your shapes look great. I like all your anatomy, the faces, the proportions, the nose looks properly done. Like everything looks not only very, very good, but also very publishable from like mainstream, Marvel, DC type publisher. And I'm assuming that's the kind of work that you're.
Yeah, that's the kind of direction I aspire to go. So
well, I think you're very much well on your way there. Like this, I think this would work very well for for anyone. It's just really strong, and it has a great look and really clean, especially working on the computer. It looks like yeah.
So I penciled traditional and then inked it digitally, so I can really zoom in and get all the detail I want in it. So
yeah, I can see there are places where you went really, really small with the rendering. Like very small.
It gets to be problematic sometimes, so I kind of get carried away a little bit. So I need to kind of zoom back out and see the overall picture of it.
Yeah, I would, just because you'll drive yourself crazy.
Right.
But you did it so cleanly and nicely that it doesn't actually, like really, really small rendering like that. It can be a problem when it starts to get muddy or start to get confusing. It doesn't at all. Like it works. You're putting so much in though that I think you could be more economical.
Oh yeah, for sure.
For your own sanity, but it totally works. Like I don't think it's a problem at all. Yeah, your anatomy looks great. The hands look great. Like both of them, he's got his hand, kind of. I'm way off, like this way, and then the other one's up, and they both. It's one thing to draw a hand like that properly. It's another thing to give it a feel, like give it power, and both of them have a lot of power to them. I think
thank you
really well.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, really, really nicely done. Teeth look great. Like all the details, all the way down the lips, like the way the mouth is done. It's all right, like it's all done. Honestly, well enough that I'm looking at it thinking I would assume that you have been published for a while.
Oh well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's a little disconcerting for me seeing some of the quality of work from from artists that just aren't known, but known yet.
So this is a penciled page because this one I went digital with. That's about like the only page I've inked so far. So this is just another penciled page I have.
Goodness.
And also the panel layout is a little obscure in this one as well. So.
Yeah, it's true. Like it's totally not what you want to do for samples and so on and so forth and whatever. But
yeah,
I have no trouble reading it. Like really, the problem with those sorts of layouts is they can just be incredibly confusing, and it's very difficult to pull them off without making it confusing. You have not done that. It works. Generally, like I don't draw these kinds of layouts that much, because I end up making them confusing, truthfully. So, but I think it works very, very well. Yeah, you have a really great sense of simplicity to your form, but also like through his chest, the way that you've got the chest lifted is all right. The arms are well defined. They're right. All the shapes in his, like the stomach, everything, it's nice and angular and simple, but it feels organic, like really, really strong. I'm yeah, I don't quite know what to say. I don't really have a very effective critique. I'm sorry.
That's all. I appreciate everything you've been saying.
Who have you shown your work to?
So I've gone to San Diego Comic-Con, I think it was 3 years ago. So that was just for like input. I actually met you at San Diego Comic-Con. Okay. But everyone was wearing a mask, so you probably didn't recognize me.
Sure.
But, yeah. So that's about the only place I've really shown my work.
It was not like this, though, was it?
Yeah, it's definitely improved since then. So
yeah. Look, I don't know what to say about it other than this. It's one thing for work to be strong enough to be published, but then individual and like creative in a way that makes it difficult to be published in a lot of places. So it's more difficult, and I love that kind of work. This is more than good enough to be published, and is exactly the kind of work that they're looking for. Like I think if you haven't shown this work, to publishers, I think that really is the only reason why you're not working for them.
And this was the pinup that I sent over. It's a little swamp thing.
Nice. Very different.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's a very dramatic and like emotional scene.
When did you draw this?
I think I want to say October, November.
Okay, I was wondering if you've been reading Skinbreaker because.
Oh yeah, I've
some of the
bought
tree.
every issue. I'm blown away. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Well,
it's just great.
I was wondering if some of the tree you got some inspiration for that because Dave's trees in there.
Yeah, I probably second issue in. So yeah, probably definitely got some inspiration from it.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, very, very nice. I will say with this one, it's his knee. Okay. I was kind of losing. He's got his knee there up to his face, and I thought that was kind of his chest a little bit. And the reason that I was thinking that is the line from his nose goes all the way along that knee, and then the shape, so you've kind of cut along it to a point where it's not a tangent, but it is a bit of a visual tangent where I wasn't reading that as a knee. Now that I see that, I think that would be a pretty easy thing to fix. But I do see that. Hands look, again, so good. It's the hardest thing to do. Like they're really strong and just really, really nice shapes.
I appreciate it.
I don't like your grass.
Yeah, that I definitely struggle for sure. It's definitely something I haven't really done before. So it's kind of experimenting, like trying to do something that kind of worked in it. But yeah, I think it fell apart a little bit there.
I agree. Whatever, it's grass.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be better. And I think you could definitely find some artists that do it well. And Travis Tress, great choice for grass.
Oh, yeah.
By the way. If you ever find, and you should look for it, it's Wildcats versus X-Men. That is a great book to look at. I think, for things like that, grass texture, it would make all the difference in the world.
Yeah, I'd always try to like scour my comic shop for Travis Tress. He's just so hard to find. It's like very limited things I see of his.
Yeah. I must have got 10 copies of that book when it came out because I knew I never wanted to be away from it.
Right.
So hopefully you can find one. But all in all, really very, very nice work. I'm going to say that I like the other two pages more than this one.
Yeah.
Just because I'm losing that leg. I don't feel like it's connecting properly. As I'm looking at the line of the leg that's bent upward more that he's holding with his hand, I don't like where it's connecting down to his hip. And then I'm losing the lower leg completely below his hand.
Okay. Gotcha.
So it's not reading for me. So I would say just because of that, this one is not as strong as the other ones. I mean, all the skill is still there. In a way, it's a little bit reassuring because you're still learning. So at least you haven't absolutely 1,000% mastered everything. I could feel a little less self-conscious about where I was when I was starting, because this is I think you're gonna have a very successful time looking for work with the pages you're doing. It might make sense to draw pages that are more tailored for Marvel or DC, like something with Captain America. Basically, what you want to be able to show them is you want to show them that you can draw buildings and cars and maybe people in a diner or whatever. Like if you can draw people really convincingly in a diner, outside the window you see a couple of cars going by, that is enough. Like they just need to see that you can do that. Buildings,
right? Yeah.
And I don't see any of that now. I don't doubt that you can do it, but they would want to see that.
Yeah, gotcha.
Female figures is something else that I don't see. I have no doubt you can do it, but they'd want to see that. So you want to make sure that it would be worth putting samples together that show them kind of the range of things that they need to see. And, with their characters, not Spider-Man because he doesn't have a face. That's what I found out. I did samples with Spider-Man and everybody said, I can't see any faces.
Oh, yeah. I can see how they'd be a little problematic.
But yeah, really very, very strong work.
Thanks so much. And so is like the only way of getting into like the comic industry, you think, is conventions? Is that like the number one?
It's the number one way for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely the easiest way. when I was trying to break in, I would just go up to booths with my work and just show my work. And I'm always happy to look at people's work at a convention, but I'm not offering work, you know?
Right, exactly.
That's much more difficult still, unfortunately. Well, I think it's more difficult now even than it was then. I know they do like talent searches at the big conventions, Marvel and DC. And the problem with them is they have somebody that will just go through a mountain of samples, and who knows what it is that they particularly are looking for,
yeah.
or if they're really qualified to know what they should be looking for.
Right.
Not always, you know.
I
So
saw
it's not 100% thing.
Top Cow just posted a talent search thing, so I think I'm gonna do some samples for that and see where that goes. So
I just have it from Allison McGlone right now. Just said that Top Cow is doing a talent search right now.
Yeah.
You would be crazy.
I just saw a post on Instagram about it. So I think
did you enter?
I think it's like a 6-month period where you can like submit things. So it's like an 8-page sample. So that's my next project.
Great. Yes. I think it'll go very well. And if it doesn't work out, because I've seen ridiculously, by the way, I've seen ridiculously talented artists that have had many years long careers and a lot of success get turned down in like an open talent search just because they showed it to the wrong person. So, don't look at that and just decide, you want to take all the criticism you can get and decide what's useful and what's not and try to be honest about it. But don't take rejection as a rejection. I mean, it happens to everybody, no matter how good you are. So I think you're going to do really well.
I appreciate that. It means a lot.
Yeah, my pleasure.
All right.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
See ya.
Allison.
All right. Sorry about that. I was like literally looking at something else.
Your apartment has changed.
Yes, well, the Millennium Falcon. It's cooler than the mess that is the apartment behind me.
Cooler than my mess, that's for sure.
I also I'm living with my older brother right now. So I moved.
Very nice. So I wasn't able to see this earlier today, but I heard that the work you're doing is really, come along quite a bit. And I think it really has just, right away. It's really nice looking work.
Thank you. I was very happy with the way this came out, and I figured a double-page spread and having you look at basically, my silhouette fight scene, which I may or may not have stolen the idea from Joe Mad, but hey.
When it's somebody as good as Joe Mad, is it really stealing?
No, it's not. It's all good.
Yeah, really nice character designs. I love the hoods in the first panel. It's very interesting. The barroom scene, all the perspective, everything, the windows, it all looks great. And it, I know you use some 3D in your work.
I didn't there.
Okay.
No,
well, I was going to say, it doesn't, it looks entirely correct and good, but it does not look like a 3D model at all. It looks drawn.
Yeah, so everything there is drawn. I only use it more in wider shots and things. And that's just because I've been working with I've been trying to get published by Viz and Shonen Jump, and they actually were telling me use more 3D because you get things done faster. So
that is kind of the state of the business. They want things done quickly, and more and more artists use 3D. My opinion, it works, and not for me to criticize, but I do think it's kind of inherently limiting because you're just doing what everybody else could just do with a press of a button.
I prefer drawing it by hand.
Yeah,
I much prefer drawing it by hand. Yeah,
well, and you end up with panels that look more like what you have there, where it looks more lived in. The 3D just, it is possible to use 3D as a base and then add enough to it that you still get something that looks very lived in. But generally speaking, I find when people use 3D, it's because it needs to be done for a deadline, which I can respect. But Ideally, yeah, I think really nice overall panel compositions.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Very happy with it.
Yeah.
And this one I actually redid so it read left to right, because my stuff lately has been right to left because I've been doing stuff for a manga studio.
Are you actually drawing it right to left, or are you flipping?
Drawing it right to left.
Oh, yeah, that would.
I rearranged everything and then redid all the dialogue.
That would really mess with my head. I don't know if I could do it. I think I might be too old.
The bottom panel is the only one I really didn't change too much because it could be read just about anyway. So
that is true. Yeah, it works really well. The figures all read, and it looks great with the background sound effects. They're just nicely integrated. It looks really good. Just compositionally, it fills out nicely. Like, it has a lot of bounce to it.
Thank you. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with the all the sound effects are vector images that I made, so I can reuse them.
Wow, they look great. I have no idea how any of that works, but I know it looks great. Like,
it's basically like penciling anything, and you just do it as a vector layer. So actually, every letter is its own layer, and so it's basically, I just have it arranged like POW is 3 different layers, and I can size the P a different size than the O and stuff like that.
That's great. Yeah, then you can arrange it so it really, because it does fit so well. I mean, that could be so confusing so easily. So it makes sense.
Yeah, I messed with the sizing and all that to try to get everything right, and I wanted to have fun with it, so I didn't want them to distract us, so I put them in the background.
Yeah, nicely done.
But yes, this is from my last Sentinel comic, which I kickstarted last year, and I'm trying to get it. I ended up hating the first round of my comic. Like, I did the whole thing, I hated it, and I redrew the whole thing. So, and that's actually part of the redraw. So,
well, it was worth it because it looks great. It looks really good. I generally never recommend redrawing parts of a book that you've already done, just because that can be a spiral.
Yeah, no, I generally would never do it. I just really did not like the finished product at all, and I was like, I can't do this. I have to do my own. I got to do this again. So I'm late, but there's a good reason why I'm late on it. Now I got to go through and color it all.
So yeah. How long does it take to color a page?
No, God, it takes me about as long as it takes to draw one. So like I can do a page to a page and a half a day. So yeah, actually, I can probably do a full one, and that would probably take me about 6 hours to do.
It's a decent amount of time.
Yeah, this is why I probably don't really work too much with color, and I prefer black and white. But I promised my Kickstarter backers I'd do it in color.
So you're trapped. Well, I'm sure it'll be beautiful.
I'm hoping. I'd love to show you some of the stuff I have been working on lately, but I don't want to take up too much time. I mainly just came by to say hello and see how you like that, and to bug you about a certain piece of artwork that hasn't shown up in my place.
I know. I haven't forgotten. I'm just
lies. I have a new address though, and I don't know. You got my number. Just give me a call after the stream or tomorrow or something like that, and I'll pass you the new address. They'll take 5 minutes of your time.
All right.
I promise. Only 5, maybe 10.
All right. Sounds good.
But I'll leave everybody alone so you can get to other people. But thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Sheldon, for giving me the great work. I really appreciate it. And I'll drop out so you can
Thanks
do
so
things.
much.
Yeah. Thank you, Allison.
Bye.
See ya. All right. Skinner.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you for coming.
Hey, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
This will be my 3rd time getting a review with you. I met you at New York and your last appearance at Terrificon.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah.
All right. Let me get everything. Let me know if it's the correct page. Some of them come in order, some don't. So just want to make sure.
Yeah, that's the 2nd page. So yeah.
All right. There. that correct?
Yeah, that's the first one. Thanks.
Okay, awesome. Looks great.
Yeah, it does. Okay, I want to start by saying that I believe you when you say you've shown me your work, but I don't believe that I've seen work that correlates to this.
What was that?
I don't feel like I've seen work that really correlates to this. Like, I'm sure if you showed me, I'd say, okay, and I could see the progression.
Yeah, my style's changed quite a bit since the last review I had with you.
Well, I guess it doesn't matter how it looked before because it looks great now.
Thank you.
Like, really. It's a great looking style, very graphic. I can't really point to anything that I would say, okay, well, you know, this is something like compositionally you'd really want to fix. Like, it just works really well. But and really nice. It's got a like a softer, more cartoon kind of feel, but a really lived in, like really nicely refined feel. Like it's just really, really nice.
Thank you. Yeah, I've tried to go towards realism, and it doesn't really work for me. So I'm trying to lean more into what comes naturally. You know.
Well, I like the framing on the second and third panel is great.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's so strong. Like it's just like so nice. And you know, most importantly, those figures all the way, that shot at the bottom is so strong. It's so like just graphically, it just really, really works well. I love how you framed it. I love that they're turning their heads, but the helmets stay the same. You know, it just as a visual detail, it just really works well.
Thank you.
But their faces are so good. Like she is very pretty, very engaging looking. It's one thing to draw a pretty face, you know, and it's important to draw you know, beautiful people because people respond to that. But I feel like I can feel what she's thinking, and the guy too. Like they both look like people I want to know more about.
Thank you. I appreciate that, especially because I feel like I've struggled with drawing women in particular in the past. So I really appreciate that.
Well, if that one shot is an indication of how they are in general now, I think you have that problem entirely solved.
Thank you. And I'm new to I'm before I was doing more.
Sorry. I'm interrupting you. Sorry about that. Okay.
I was just saying I'm bringing more rendering back in more. I was doing a cleaner style with less like kind of hatching and rendering stuff. So that's kind of new for me. So yeah.
Well, the rendering you're doing is perfect for what you're doing.
Thank you. Cool.
Well, very often with a cartoony style rendering can, I'm sure you know what I mean. It can start to conflict.
Yeah.
It's not here at all. I think it's seamless. Like it just looks very professional.
Thank you.
Eric, can we see the other one?
Sure.
Okay, I don't have a criticism, so I am really of no use here.
Thank you.
What am I going to say? Like, yeah, her face there. The other, not just hers. Like the guy's face, very interesting and emotive too. But hers is so emotive. The way that you rendered the figures, the way that you brought it in, is perfect.
Thank you.
Really, it's perfect. That last panel, you have some pretty thick rendering going on in the background, thicker than I would do because it's a background, but it really works. Like I don't know why, actually. It's not the style that I work in, so I don't fully understand it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hard because I like to do the big shadows, but when you do them in the background, sometimes it can mess with the depth. But sometimes it works.
Yeah, it doesn't at all. It works perfectly.
Thank you.
Great. Yeah, the hands are very subtle. Like the hand holding that the case looks really good. everything also, just your whole style is very, very consistent. Like you have a real statement about your work that I think is just fully realized. Like it's.
Thank you.
I think I've been frankly amazed at the quality that we've seen so far tonight. You know?
Oh, those couple of those other two, so a couple of them are so good. That crazy
So
rendering guy and that
Yeah.
I don't remember their names, but yeah, I was blown away.
Yeah. Well, I think your work is right up there easily.
Thank you.
In its own way, just in the way that theirs are in their own way. Like I look at it and I don't understand. Are you working at all?
So yes and no. So I've actually been full time the past year, but it's all indie stuff. It's for small people. I've been trying to break into the larger market, but I haven't had any success. I've been in contact with some editors, but I haven't gotten any work.
Well, it's a matter of time.
Thank you.
Like, yeah, absolutely. I think ideally, with a style like this, hooking up with a writer that has something that really suits what you do, like there's so many writers that they're not looking for something that's more of a mainstream, like going to be competing with a Marvel or DC kind of a. It could work honestly with Marvel or DC too. There's no reason why not. But somebody that wants to do something with image that's that fits that kind of vibe, this is like it's perfect. To me, this looks like this is exactly what I could imagine somebody looking for.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm always out there looking, and I've got some small indie gigs coming up, but yeah, like I said, just trying to piece together a living, but nothing in the bigger market yet.
Yeah, it really is a matter of time with what you're doing. Like it's great stuff. I'm sure it's frustrating when in the indie market it can be difficult to make ends meet.
Yeah, I'm like I kind of might need to get a part-time job for a little while because it's dried up a bit, but it is what it is. And but I'm still amazed that I was able to make the living that I did the past year, and I think I've grown more in this year because I was able to draw full-time than I have in the past several.
Well, that's a big factor. Until you're really doing it all the time as a job, it's really difficult to fully mature artistically. I mean, your work is strong enough that I can't correlate it to, like, I can't imagine what it looked like before, because it just looked. I'm really curious to see.
Thank you.
You told me, you showed me your work before.
Yeah. It was some full color pages. It was a Terrificon. It was a different style. It was like not really any hatching. It was more of a humor book. It was a kind of a different vibe, but.
Well, yeah. I hope that I haven't wasted your time, because it just
I appreciate it a lot, and I just want to say too, like, your channel has been huge for my growth in general. Watching your videos on eyes and noses and everything, rendering, it's really been a huge help to me, and I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited to see where you go. I'm sure you'll do very, very well, and.
Thank you.
Really pretty faces and engaging faces like you have. It is a big key. Like, drawing unattractive faces, and unattractive is fine too. It's drawing faces that start to. It's like in the uncanny valley, and I see that. Kind of too much, where everything really works, but it's just missing that element. Your faces are engaging and emotive and attractive, and it's a big deal. Like, I feel like you're the whole package.
Thank you.
Great stuff.
I came up mostly on books that were a lot of a kind of personal interactions and stuff, and I think all that time on emotional scenes kind of helped me hone in that type of acting.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate all your time.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, Dave, just a quick time update. We've actually done well. We've got 10 folks in right under 2 hours. So how are you feeling?
How many people we have left?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So probably 12 plus, and then a whole host of others who can't fit into the studio just yet. it limits like 15 folks by
Okay.
default. So we have a lot of folks in the wings.
So what we're going to do then?
We're making good time.
What we're going to do then is we'll get through a few more. If we've done 10 so far,
yeah.
If we could maybe get through to 15,
okay,
then we will do this again on Thursday. We've had a few reviews here where I really haven't had anything useful to add because the work is just great, and
it's really been good.
At that point, it's just a pleasure to look at. I'm not helping, which honestly, those are sometimes the most fun, just to see. Really nice work.
What I'll do as well when we get to about the 15th mark, I'll see if I can take a screenshot of who's backstage. If they do join, I think Thursday, then I'll try to pull them in the order that they were here as well, because they've been pretty patient. So I'll try my best to keep folks in order.
Okay.
During the next one.
So 5 more.
Yeah.
And then we will be back on Thursday. So and of the people of the 5 more, those are already in the studio. So if you can make sure that people know that if you're joining now or if you haven't come in now, we will be back on Thursday. It's a lot of people. I'm, by the way, so gratified that it is so many people. It means a lot to me that you are all willing to show your work here. It takes a lot of courage, I think, to do that too. So
absolutely.
But yes, we'll be back on Thursday. We'll do this again. And on Thursday, I don't care how many people we have. I don't care if it's 4:00 in the morning. We will get to everyone. Tonight, the quality of the reviews here is just going to go right down the drain. I'm going to fall asleep. So
all right. So let's bring in the next gentleman. All right.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
How you doing?
Doing good. I just want to say thank you for your videos and thank you for this opportunity to talk to you.
Well, pleasure. Thank you for coming on. I love the picture.
Yeah.
With the horses.
Yeah, I noticed you guys have some horses in your farm in your videos and live streams.
All right. Let me know if they're not in the correct order.
Yeah, so that's the cover page.
Okay.
This is the last page.
Okay. So this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just broadly, just to start, you're working on different paper than you're not working on like a standard 11 by 17 paper, which is fine. At some point, you'd want to make that transition, but working on the paper that you're working on, I would still definitely recommend that you create basically your own border, your own like interior panel line, and then exterior. So you don't end up like that first panel where you've got the panel border going directly out to the side of the page. That's something you want to avoid. But not a big deal. I think your figures, the faces look nice. Your hair looks very good. Like it's got a lot of structure to it. You have attractive faces. I think it's on the right track. I will say you're using a lot of gray tone, and that's something that you really want to try and stay away from. You want to think in terms of like fully dark and fully light, and then rendering in between. Anything else? And if you were
do you mean on the faces?
I mean on the faces, yes, but also the hair. Like you have dark detailing in the hair, and then you also have like gray shading, and that's just not something that an inker would be able. Like if you were to ink this yourself, it's not something that you'd be able to replicate with ink. And
I think if you zoomed in, like on the hair, I used individual lines to do it. Like individual stroke, just really small ones.
All right. Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, you did. I still feel like there's definitely some gray tone going on in there, but yes, you can see zoomed in. There's more going on than you could see at more of a distance. So it is there, but it would be difficult. I think like you'd still have to make some decisions in order to ink it, and that's something I think you kind of want to make sure that it's just a little bit more clear. Like it's very clean, but I think it would take some decisions in order to ink properly. I think the anatomy is largely very strong. Like Superman's ear, anatomically, I think it kind of comes off just a little bit. Some of the shadowing, like I'm losing some of the interior detail in there, so I would work on some of those forms just a bit. I think your sense of rounding a form works very well. Like the lips look great. I like how you've cast shadow underneath his hair over his forehead. It's very consistent. I think it looks really nice. I do think Wonder Woman, her proportions start to come off a little bit. The eyes are maybe a little too close together because the closer eye to us is okay. If you had the eyes at that angle, let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to draw one eye here, and here's my brow. Here's my nose, and here's the other side of my face, my mouth. At that angle, this eye here would be pretty heavily obscured by the nose because the nose kind of projects outward. And so that's why it ends up looking like the eyes are a little too close together, because you've got this eye separated out. So it looks like it just ends up reading as not eyes that are really foreshortened. They just end up looking close together. And that's really kind of the issue right there, I think.
Yeah, I spent like 3 hours doing it, and I just gave up eventually.
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah, I definitely understand. I will say, there are things that have always been kind of available. Like, I don't know where I've got I have a Henry Cavill head, actually, that Eric Grove has the same thing. We got it for painting, but you can turn that thing at any angle, and it's really useful for getting odd angles of faces. I have a female head that you can kind of do the same thing. And so for a face like this, you could angle it in a way that would really, I'm going to find it. Let's see how it works. I imagine you could use 3D too, but okay, so here it is. I got this for painting. But if I angle the head, let's see, try to angle to the camera that way. You can see how I have quite a bit more distance with that eye. And then that eye is mostly obscured in order to get that angle. Yeah. And if you were to use maybe just something like this, just something simple that I got this from Amazon. It could be really useful for drawing different angles like that. Not for drawing expression, but for getting some of those proportional details. These can be very, very useful. So you might want to take a look at that. I think it could really help with that sort of thing. So you're not fighting, the thing for hours. Yeah. For sure. Because just with the faces in general, I think the details work well. All in all, they work well. Proportionally, they're not ideal. Like Superman, his face is very long for the length of the top of the head. And so the face just, it's just a little bit too large. So it's just some proportional issues. But the actual drawing is very good and very solid.
Thank you.
I think the buildings, by the way, work very well. They're nice and clean. It looks very, very good. It's nicely done.
Thank you.
So I feel like in the top panel, Dark Side looks like his center of gravity is off. As he's standing, if I were to draw a line to basically where the center of his weight would be, it would be over his foot and pushing him forward into the panel. And I don't see that the rest of the panel has a perspective that matches that. So that's something, you really want to make sure when you're standing a figure that you bear in mind your center of gravity, so you don't have that happen. It's a very easy thing to have happen, but it definitely is showing up there. I would say in the second panel, I think the figure works well. The way that you broke the panel borders, I think is fine. I don't like that you cut off the hand on the edge of the page there, because that's kind of coming out towards you. So I think it would have been a little bit more effective to either adjust the figure a little bit so the hand stays in the panel. It's not that big of a deal, but I just personally, I like it better when that doesn't happen. If I have something really projecting toward me, I don't want to cut it off. Or maybe just move them to the side a little bit. The lighting on his face, I think, is very strong. It looks great. All in all, it's pretty consistent. I do feel like, so on his foreground hand, the rounding around his arm is coming as if his arm is coming toward us, and then it rounds down toward his hand. So it's actually bending the arm in a bit of an odd way, because you've kind of you've curved it in two different directions there.
I see what you mean.
Wonder Woman's figure at the last panel, very strong. The feet look great. Like, that is a nicely done figure. I think it really does work well. And it's difficult for shortening to pull off. All of them, actually. I think Superman is very strong. Of the three, I think Aquaman is just a little less so, because I think the other ones are stronger. But I think they all work well. And I do see what you mean with a lot of very small rendering, that when you look at it close, it works. And looking at it from a distance, it looks more like it's just more of a gray tone, but it's there. It would be hard to ink, though. It'd be a lot of work. But yeah, I do have a little bit of difficulty being able to tell what is in the background with Darkseid in the second panel.
Oh, they're like parademons.
Okay.
Like a swarm of them.
Okay. I think it might have been helpful to draw maybe, a few at a larger size, and then you could draw, the smaller ones. Looking at it close, I can see them all, and it looks like an immense amount of work, like a lot of work. But I think drawing a few just a little bit larger, it would make it a little bit, more instantly readable. Looking at it really close, I can see it. But I think at a glance, and this is really, it's such an important part about visual storytelling, is because it has to tell a story really quickly, it needs to hit the reader's eye and be instantly readable without any confusion at all. Because otherwise you take them out of the story. So I do think that it would have helped just to have a few figures just a little bit larger, so I get a sense of what they are, and then the rest kind of fills in that detail. That looks like it took hours.
Nah, it was actually like 10 minutes. I just drew the same. Yeah, I drew the same like figure over and over again, and each figure took like 3 seconds.
You're quicker at that than I am, then. That's pretty fast. That's impressive.
I actually wanted to ask you if you had any tips for speed, because these 4 pages, I guess, took days to weeks even to finish.
I don't think that's really such a bad thing. Speed comes with experience. It comes with deadline pressure. I think trying to angle towards speed when you're learning, it can be a bit of a mistake, because the idea when you're learning and when you're putting samples together is do the absolute very best work that you can without compromise. And then when you show it to an editor, say you did it in a day. That's what I did. I don't think they believe me anyway. But speed actually really does naturally come the more you do it. When you're learning, you're having to second guess everything that you do, which really slows you down.
Yeah.
As you get more comfortable, a lot of things start to become rote, which also can be a trap. You don't want to fall into that too much. You always want to be, trying to stretch your skills, but it will ultimately get easier. So I wouldn't worry too much about speed. From what you're saying, it doesn't sound like you spent too long at all.
Nah, I did. Just not that specific section.
Okay. All right. Yeah. This page, I feel like it's very consistent with the other two. It's very much on model. I think it's going in the right direction. I also think that proportionally the faces have places where they need some work. Like Batman's chin, I think the angle of it starts to come off at the bottom of it. It's pushing down pretty far, and coming off of the angle of his eyes. So, like, just adjusting that angle, I'm kind of squinting one eye and looking at it. I think that would fix it quite a bit right there. So just small things like that, where it still needs a little bit of work. It's there. They're attractive. I think it's working, but I think what would really benefit is just studies of artists that do it in a way that you really like. Just getting the repetition in there and getting the more of a sense of natural proportion. Like some of the especially I feel like the two faces at the bottom, the sidelong faces, some of the proportion starts to come off just a little bit there. So like the details on his face is nice. Like the nose looks good, the mouth looks good. All in all, like I like how his forehead, it's got like a nice shape to it. It's well done, but all in all, and just proportionally, I think it could be a little bit stronger.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I have one more question about drawing buildings, because I actually think my buildings aren't good. So do you have any resources that you'd guide me towards to getting better, like building, like the details of the buildings?
I'm a very big fan of, so all my buildings really come from artists that I like, really. Eduardo Rizzo, I think, is great. He did 100 Bullets. There are so many great buildings in there. He has a really simple way of drawing that also it conveys a lot. They're just very, very nicely done. Mike Mignola, he did Gotham by Gaslight. A lot of really cool buildings in there for like Gotham, something a little bit older. I like that, and I've used that as like a resource for years. I learned how to draw buildings from Mark Silvestri, who does them amazingly well. So all of his work, he did Cyberforce and Wolverine and a lot of different projects. If you can find his work, he does it very well. Ideally, I think you can look at life, but life doesn't really have any easy to define lines in the same way. And so I think it really works, but to be able to get something that works efficiently in a comic style, you need to look at how other artists have approached it. That can save you, infinite amount of time instead of trying to learn how to interpret yourself. So I think those three artists do it very, very well. I think if you were to draw maybe a building from Mark Silvestri or Mike Mignola, just draw as studies a few of those buildings, and then look at life. Like look at a New York City. Sean Gordon Murphy, another one, very different style, but really, really good buildings. And then look at life and look at different things after having found kind of a way to interpret. That I think is a really good way to go.
Okay, thank you, Dave. God bless, and yeah,
you too.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, Nicholas, I don't have an email from you. Did you send me one?
Oh yeah, I sent you two emails.
Did it come under a different name?
I don't think so. Just the same, Nicolas Camargo.
Interesting. Could you try send it to me again? I do not.
Yep.
I've searched.
While we work it out, I'll be back in just a minute.
Yeah.
So it is ericgroveart at gmail.com, right?
Yeah, just check in the pinned comment just to make sure it's ERICK. Let's make sure we get. Yeah, I don't have it.
Mm.
Hopefully the pinned comment's correct. Let me see. Yeah, it is. All right, let's hope it comes in here. Don't know why I'm not getting it.
I just sent it to you again. Yep.
Okay, 1 second. Let me check spam for some. Oh, it came into spam for some weird reason.
All right.
So I'm going to report it as not spam. And now let me search. I should have done that already. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
NASA asked if we don't pick people with no camera. That's no problem. Having no camera is not a problem. We just need to be able to see the artwork.
All right. Is it just the one, Nicholas?
No, so just below that, there are many, but the sequential are.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right.
Yeah, so just like the cover pinup style, something.
Okay, so I guess Dave, you want to look at the sequentials first, right?
Sure.
Okay.
I think it's still coming along. The faces, I think, are very nice. Your female faces, really all the faces, I think, look really good. You've got in the fourth panel, you've got the guy looking up. I think that really works. Like it just, they're very consistent. I think they work well. I do think that the anatomy still could use a little bit more work. Like I'm looking at some of the figures, they look like the forms are a little soft and not as defined as I think they could be. So I think they're just a bit more of a weakness than the faces, which are definitely relatively stronger. I want to say too that I feel like some of these panels, it would be very difficult to put word balloons in. Like you really haven't given anybody space to actually put in dialogue. And it's a lot of information to get onto one page. It's a lot of panels and a lot of things going on. So if that's something you got to in a script with that many things happening, that is a lot to try and take on. And I think I personally hate it when writers do that. Give me so much that I just can't get it all into a page really effectively. It's just too much. If this is more of a working from your own script, I would really recommend taking what you have here and making it go over like two pages, or taking certain segments of action and just combine them together, because it's a lot going on one page. So you end up with a lot of figures that are very similarly sized. Too many, I think, on a page. I feel like you've got a table with food on it where it's right, larger in the foreground, smaller in the background, but then the figures aren't really correlating exactly with the sizing on the table. It's what you've done from a visual standpoint is incredibly difficult. Like the way that you have that table, I don't know that I would have angled it quite that way. But then laying the girl along the bench foreshortened toward the reader like that, and having to make her, size her properly, with the table like that is visually like a storytelling, or not a story. Visually is really, really hard. And I know I would have avoided it. I would not have.
Yep.
I would not have tried to take that on because it's just too easy to make it look not quite right. I also will say that the figure, I'm assuming that's Starfire.
Yep.
In the second panel, she looks like she's a little bit pressed under the first panel that's overlaid in a way that I wouldn't want to do. I think, you know, having figures overlap from panel to panel, that's something that I know that people say you shouldn't do for sample pages. And I do agree with that, but I think it would have been more effective to overlay her than to have her pressed under the panel like that. Her feet also line up directly with the edge of the page. It's something that you want to avoid just from a tangent standpoint. It's really the only tangent that I notice on the whole page.
Okay.
Next page, Dave?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would definitely say similarly with this page, there is a lot visually going on, and there is definitely no room for any kind of dialogue. In the first panel, you could, just because you've got some larger figures, they would just cover some of the figures, which would be fine. But some of those other panels, unless there's no dialogue at all, and they're always like, I can tell that there's some, you have covered basically every square inch of the panel with detail, which is admirable, but you definitely want to try and plan for dialogue more. That's something that would cause problems pretty quickly. I definitely feel the same way about this one. I think that the faces are by and large strong. I think the anatomy is, the proportions are good. You have a lot of angles going on with the figures that I think by and large work. But the detail, I'm looking at like the deltoid, the shoulder muscle. It looks a little ill-defined coming into the chest with his arm that's raised up here. And on Flash, I'm getting a bit of an odd sense of his collarbone going into his shoulder. It's there, but it definitely, I feel like all of those muscles need a significant amount of review. I think they could be much stronger.
Yeah, cool.
Eric?
Yeah. Do you want to?
Yep.
Next page. All right. How many pages are this? Whoa, it's quite a few.
Just 3, and then just.
Oh, okay. All right.
I think this panel is the strongest so far, easily. I'm not getting the same sense of a lot of figures that are really similarly drawn, and they are actually, you know, there is a certain amount of that, but there's enough space that the page breathes much better. You have a close-up in panel 2 that kind of breaks things up quite a bit, and I think works pretty well. That hand could certainly be, that's a pinky. Could be better for sure. There is something I mentioned in some other artists. You have black lines with gray shading on top, which really can't be interpreted with ink. So that's something you really want to avoid. If you're going to avoid lighting, so Nightwing has a darker sections and lighter sections. If you're not going to do dark shadowing on it, that's fine. The colorist can do it, but doing like a gray tone like that, I think actually just kind of fights the colorist. And if it were an inker, they would have to ignore that, or draw the whole thing dark and maybe draw white lines for the muscle definitions, which is difficult to pull off with ink. It would be, I would avoid that. I think the figures work well. All in all, like they're much stronger. Your female figures in the third panel, I think, are, well, the female figure is is nicely drawn. I like the detail on her. I would generally, with the flash, you have his hand kind of over his crotch.
Yep.
That's something you really want to avoid. Anything to do with the crotch whatsoever, you want to try to, be aware of that and just avoid any kind of thing like that. It's perfectly innocent, but you don't want that to be a distraction on a page.
That's right. Yeah.
The backgrounds, I think, are fine. You are using a single point perspective pretty consistently. I would start to try and venture into more of a 2-point, 3-point perspective. Try and experiment with that and see what you can do. Kind of broadening what you're able to pull off in a panel with more complex perspective. That can give you a lot of different shot options. Because as it is right now, everything is very much on like a TV set kind of level. I'm never looking up or looking down. That's something that you want to start to experiment with a little bit.
Sure. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And thanks for bearing with us while we figured it out.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Nicholas. All right. Kyle, let me find your work.
Cool. Hey, what's up, guys?
Good to have you.
Thanks for coming
Sorry,
on.
there's no way to not surprise people when you bring them in.
That's okay. I saw that my comment on the chat was below his, so I'm like, maybe it's me next. I was half prepared.
We have not caught somebody yet with their finger on their nose or.
There's still time. Okay, so let me see if I can. I'm not seeing yours either.
Would it come in under Kyle Armageddon?
Sorry, what's that?
Kyle Armageddon art is what it would have come in under.
Okay. Maybe. Let's see. Kyle. Okay. I believe I found it. Apparently Gmail thinks it knows best in the order of pages. So if it's incorrect, this is yours, right?
Yeah, that's mine. Either order is fine.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a original character noir detective parody comic.
Cool.
It makes me wish I could read it. I'm not going to be able to read it. Not right now. But, okay. My first impression is that from a visual storytelling perspective, I think everything works very well. Like you clearly know what you're doing, making a panel work, and obviously making the word balloons, all that kind of thing work. I think it looks great. Your clothing folds are pretty freaking nice. Like on his jacket, that's some of the toughest stuff to pull off. I don't know if you're referencing, it doesn't matter if you're referencing or not. Who cares? It just looks really good.
I take a lot of pictures of myself in leather jackets when I'm
so there. Okay, well, it was totally worth it. It looks great. That kind of thing really, really shows. It's poorly drawn way, way too often when you can take the time to take the reference. Especially, I tell myself this all the time too, because I don't do it enough. And then I'm fighting with it over hours. And meanwhile, I could have just, drop my pencil. I could have just taken a little bit of time and done what you've done there. But even so, making visual reference work on a leather jacket, it's not easy because you have to parse everything down into like a few simple statement folds. It's not just a one-for-one thing, and I think you did it really nicely.
Thank you.
I feel like you're in panel 2. The table for the pawn shop lines up too well with the border between panel 3 and 4. Like it kind of, and it's not terrible or anything, but it is a bit of a tangent from panel 2 to panel 3 and 4.
Yeah, okay. That makes a lot of sense.
I think the other figure, he is a little weaker. He's not as strong. Like his face, I think could use a little bit more work. Like it's his eyes are like the largest panel of him where he's kind of floating. His eyes are just a little bit large.
Yeah,
in
I
his
do
face.
struggle with making them too large a lot of the time. I don't always catch it.
The only way I really know to fix that is, and I'm just going to say, like, you really have to do studies. It's just not something that you can just fix completely on your own. Like, you can fight with it forever or never fix it. And so the choice is to either look at life, if that's, what you want to do, caricature, if that's maybe more what you want to do. Basically, my method, really, I looked at all the artists that I like and I stole everything from them for years, and that's the basis of my whole style is really just, everything that I've gotten from different artists and intensive study. I'm sure, there's some talented people out there that can just skip all that, but it sure wasn't me. I do think that looking at artists that do the kinds of faces that you're looking to do and doing studies of those and spending some time with that would make that much stronger. Like, what works is I think your natural gesture is really nice, and your natural storytelling. In panel 2, the way he's gesturing with his hands, I feel like his hands kind of get a little bit lost in there. His lower hand gets a little lost. It's all right, could be better. But the gesture works well. He does not have clothing folds, I think, that match anywhere near as well as the other figure. It's almost like you were really enjoying drawing the other one and not quite so much
fun doing the leather.
Yeah. They both need the same kind of love. They really do.
Yeah.
And the backgrounds too. Like, I'm not getting any sense of perspective in the third panel with those shelves. They're just kind of, lose my camera. They're just kind of floating a little bit. So as much as perspective is a hassle, it needs some perspective there. I don't think you can get away with that.
Yeah.
You have enough skill and realism in what you're doing that it needs to have at least a relatively consistent level of skill. And there are places where I feel like it's fighting what you're trying to do just because it's not there. The perspective is one for sure. It's a big one. I think it should be better. And the other figure. Okay.
Oh, sorry. You want me to go next, Dave?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
It's a really nicely done fight scene. It's great, really, the first panel, it really reminds me, it's like a real Marvel Comics kind of a shot. Really nicely done. Yeah, it has a lot of drama. It's nice.
Awesome. Thank you.
He grew pretty significantly from the first page to the second page, which I guess is okay, but I feel like just proportionally, he looks much larger than he did.
I kind of wanted it to be that way, but I'm also not sure. Like, if you read the whole comic, I don't know if it would read better, just from like perspective thing. But also, it's totally fine if it doesn't. Like, I may have been wrong about this one, and I get that. But I did it. I made him bigger on purpose. I wanted it to flow that way from the panels before.
Okay. Yeah. No, I don't think that's a bad choice.
Okay.
And I love the shot, and that's always what's most important. And honestly, like, me looking at it, it feels like a choice that you made. So I think it's fine. The next panel, the two of them fighting, I think works really well. I feel like there's some, John Buscema almost in there, like I like it quite a bit. The bar in the background, definitely. The rounding on those bar stools is wrong for the perspective for sure.
Yeah.
And just generally, it needs to be more realized. I know you're not going for like a real, intensive, realistic background kind of a style, but I think it needs to be done better than that to match what you're doing with the other stuff. Yeah, it's good work. It is, to me, it's inconsistent in its level of quality. And I think that's something that you could address pretty well. Like what you did with the folds on the one figure, I think you could have done on the figure in white more. That he reminds me of Kingpin a little bit. The Kingpin kind of figure. I think there could have been just a little bit more of that. Like in his sleeves, his arms are upraised, and in one of the arms, the folds are actually kind of fighting the bend of the arm. So it's flattening it. And I think that's something that had you just, throwing the arm up and had somebody take a picture or, take a picture in the mirror, whatever, you could have solved that. And you should have, because it does fight. I think what you're doing, it needs more of a consistent, not realism, but verisimilitude. Is that the right word? Believability, basically. I think some of that is missing because it's kind of falling off just a little bit in some places.
Cool.
But yeah, I like it a lot. I think it has a lot of character. Your storytelling is very, very good, despite the places where I'd say, okay, the backgrounds are fighting it because they're not as good as they need to be. The overall storytelling is really strong, and your ability to just plot out a page and make it work visually is very strong, and it's
awesome.
interesting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks, Carl.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Next up is Dylan Dietrich, and I don't know why it is not adding him. Oh, because his camera's hidden. There we go. Hey, Dylan.
What's up? Hey, David.
Hey, how are you?
How you doing?
Thanks for having me, guys.
Pleasure, as always.
So let's see.
We've had you on before. We have, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not crazy. All right.
So Dylan, I think the last email. Okay, so that's the 2 pages, and then the other, is that a cover, or is that like a?
Yeah, that was just a thing I finished.
Okay,
recently.
I'll start with the other 2. Are they in sequence or?
Yeah, they're in sequence.
Okay. The one with Batman in the center panels first, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, for starters, it's very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's very, very good. No comments at all, panel 1. It just looks good. Maybe if I had some comment, it would be that the darkness on his costume kind of gets a little lost with some of the figures around, but not really. Whatever. Not in such a bad way. Actually, I take it back. There's a figure in the foreground that's very small.
Yes.
And also very dark. That definitely needed a little, like, some interpretation. First of all, because I'm assuming he's talking to that figure that's in the foreground. That's the Atom, or I don't know who it is, but
the Atom.
He needs to be framed better because I didn't see him for quite a bit. I was looking at that panel and I just noticed him there. So it's not framed in such a way that I really catch that figure. Like, he's just, like, the whole panel would be stronger if he weren't there. And because he's speaking, definitely. His head's not angled up toward the other characters. The other characters aren't angled down toward him. Not really. So I just noticed him as an afterthought. But, all the faces look great. Like, everything, really, it's a really nice panel.
Thank you.
I just feel like it falls down to storytelling just a little bit and in layering darks on top of darks, which you cannot layer darks on top of darks and solve the problem with simple outlines. Like, you have to do planning better than that. You see what I mean there, right?
Yes.
Okay. The next panel just looks really good. Anatomy looks great. I could say maybe, He's a little thick in the upper leg, just a little bit.
Yeah, I see that. I see what you're talking about.
But like whatever, not bad, but just a bit. But yeah, I think it looks like it's getting bigger and smaller. Eric,
sorry.
Can you go up a little bit more if you wouldn't mind?
Sure.
Yeah, nice panel, like really nicely done. The next one looks really good. You know, it's drawing cylinders in space is very difficult, and any way that you can pull that off, that's I'm assuming you use 3D for that one.
No, I just eyeballed it.
Really?
Well, not eyeballed it, but did multiple attempts of eyeballing it.
Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't use 3D, but if I have to draw a cylinder in space like that, like that kind of a thing, yeah, I'll use 3D sometimes. You know, and I'll but yes, because otherwise it just ends up being a mess. So if you didn't, congratulations, because it really works.
Thank you.
You know, very, very good. I think all those figures are very strong. I don't 1,000% love the guy on the left. I don't know who it is.
In which panel?
That.
Oh yeah, the elongated man.
Okay. But whatever. I mean, he looks good. I think his legs they look a little thick again. You know, just around the knee area, like it's just a little bit, just a little thick around the knee area in that tiny little figure that I'm now criticizing because your work is very strong. Okay. Batman looks great. Really, really nice all the way around.
Thank you.
Yeah, looks really good. All the backgrounds look really good. Everything, I think, separates out really well. Splatter would look good there. That's Splatter. Yeah, and it's nicely framed. Like, it just looks like a really good, competent shot. And everybody looks, you know, like attractive and on model and nice. My criticism with the figure in the foreground, though, would be his elbow.
Yeah.
If that is an elbow, it definitely needs some work. I feel like his whole triceps area
too small
is lost. He doesn't really have a triceps.
Yeah.
And so basically everything behind the biceps, that area of anatomy is something that you really need to work on. Because, I mean, everything is so strong, and the back of the arm it looks like there's like a metal plate there or something.
Yeah.
So I would work on that for sure.
All right. Sounds good.
Like, make that a priority, I'm telling you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Figures look great, you know, looks really good. You know, I guess if I could complain at all, I would say working with your center of gravity could have made that panel a little bit stronger. I just mean, like, if you had the arrow guy, Green Arrow, you know, pushed back a little bit more. So, you know, his center of gravity is thrown back a little bit more. And maybe Batman thrown back a little bit more. It would have just a little bit more drama.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, the figures really work. I think Batman looks great. Green Arrow, for me, he looks stiff, not because the figure is stiff, just because of the angle. I think because he's perfectly centered in his, like, he's on top of his center of gravity, so it doesn't look like he's pushing back.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Next panel looks really, really good. I have no comments that I could possibly make about that other than to say that it looks great. And, you know, really, like, the hands, really, really nice. It looks really good. And by the way, the triceps and everything look good too. So it's just that one angle. You definitely have to work on that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I will do that.
I'm pausing because I'm waiting for it to zoom in. I mean, I can kind of see it here.
Oh, sorry. I kind of want you to get a look at it, and then I'll zoom in. And sorry.
I don't know if you guys notice. I'm really not criticizing overall storytelling that much. it is such an important skill. I think there are probably better people that you could talk to about, really advanced storytelling than me. And also, the visual appeal of the work, one way or the other, is always going to be the most important factor. It just is. So I'm really focusing on that with everything. All right. Yeah, the first panel looks really nice. I think it looks great. I don't know. I don't know. I could say something like, maybe if their heads were angled up toward them instead of away, but would that make it better? I don't really think so. I know how I would have done it, which is different than how you did it, but I don't know that how I would have done it would be better. I think it really works. Like, it's just good. Like, it's just solid. Next panel. Yeah, it works great. Like, you have a lot going on there. He's shooting from the foreground. That figure, by the way, one of your strongest. I really love how you did his hat. Like, it looks really, really good. In the hand, it looks like you referenced your own hand to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it just looks right, like really strong. And the explosion kind of the snow below them, really nice. It separates that perfectly from kind of the fire behind them, the buildings. Like, it just all works. It's just, it's very competent and solid, and so much better than any work that you had ever done before. Like, no comparison.
Thank you.
Was this one of your sample pages for DC, Dylan?
No, this was the one that was actually published.
Awesome, man. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, well. So this is published by DC.
Yeah.
Okay, well, of course then. Like, I'm criticizing it, and sure, I could criticize anybody, but I mean, like, it looks like professional work to me.
Yeah, this was my first story.
Okay, well, congratulations, first of all. I can't believe how good you've gotten. I mean, no wonder they publish it. Looks great. The tricep's still bad, though.
Yeah, I'll change that before I show people.
All right. Yeah, I mean, this next panel, everything just works, and it's visually just clean. So I never have any trouble just seeing what I'm looking at all the time. So yeah, it's a great panel. Go down to the bottom.
So good, yeah.
Yeah. That hand.
The line weights, background to foreground, or foreground to background is great. Yeah, really helps separate everything.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that was definitely something I had to keep in mind, because I was doing so many textures. I needed everything to be able to stand out.
Yeah, I would comment this looks like professional published work. And I would be right, apparently. It is. So there you go. Yeah, it's really, I mean, obviously, it's not only am I saying that I think it's really strong, but clearly DC editorial agreed.
And this was a piece I just finished up the other day.
Oops, sorry. Nice.
Wow.
That's great.
Yeah. Amazing looking inks.
Thank
Is
you.
that done on paper?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Come on. Sorry.
Yeah, ink's looking good. I mean, look, the drawing all looks great. I mean, and you can see the Jim Lee, obviously. Yeah. But it's like so much of what you're doing too. It's like the classic kind of Jim Lee that I love, like the lighting on Wolverine, that stuff. There's like an era of his inking. I love all this stuff, of course, but there's an era of his stuff that is kind of my favorite, and you captured so much of that one. This looks amazing. So this is for Marvel?
Yeah, I sent it over to them the other day.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. I mean, come on.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's great stuff.
Yeah, awesome.
And I have the book right here if you wanted to see what it looked like. Those 2 pages colored. All finished up.
Great.
Amazing. That's awesome. Nice colors too, eh?
Yeah, it came out very nice. I was really happy with how it came out.
We have a ringer. Well, you know what? I've had you on here before, haven't I? I have, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
it's been a while, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the progress in your work, obviously it's incredible.
Great. Yeah, it's great that you're also still trying to improve as well.
And it's just amazing.
Even though you've made that milestone, you're still looking to get better, which is awesome.
Yep. Well, this helps a ton every time, guys.
Well, and you know what? I think it's really helpful for everyone else watching too. It shows when you get your work to a level, you can make it. They're looking for people. They always are. You just have to be able to give them what it is that they're looking for, and have clean enough work that is easily readable with characters that look like they're supposed to look and are attractive and move well and have anatomy and have all the pieces put together. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do. I'm sure you know. I mean,
Bit of a process.
It's not easy and it's hard, but it's possible. And I really appreciate. First of all, I'm so thrilled that that it's working out, and it's just great to see. Somebody that has been here showing work and trying to get in, make it, because that's what everyone here is trying to do. So yeah, it's truly awesome. I'm very happy. It's great. Thank you so much for hanging out and waiting to show that stuff.
Yeah, of course. No, I learned so much from this whole stream. This has been very educational.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Dylan.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for taking the time for everyone, and thanks for helping the community improve every day.
Wow.
Yeah. Have a nice night.
Yeah, you too.
All right, Dave. Time's gone well. I think this is the fifth person, and I think that's what you were wanting to cap off, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's bring Garrett in.
Oh my goodness. What an honor, huh? Jeez. So hold on. So just so I can get this straight. So it's as easy as telling David that we've met before and then he just believes you? That's it, huh?
That's it. That's how it works, yes.
David, we go way back, man. Do you remember when
it's
we
so
were
good to see you again.
Yeah, dude. No, but without running the risk of sounding like a massive dork, this is seriously a privilege. So thank you.
Well, my pleasure, and thank you for coming on.
I believe this is the second page that I submitted.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Let me know when you want to zoom in, Dave, and I'll do that.
All right, yeah, go ahead and zoom in toward the top.
Okay.
Okay. At this point in your development, I feel like it's mixed. Like there are things that I think are really working. Your figures have some dynamics to them that I think really work. Like that hand, both hands, all the hands really. Like on the second panel, look good. The guy's reacting to where he's being hit. I feel the weight of it. I feel the weight of the kick. Like the power in his body is coming through and hitting through that kick. Like that stuff I think is strong.
Mm-hmm.
And it really works. Compositionally, it could definitely use some work. And a big part of that is there's some perspective, but it definitely needs work. Like you've got in the top panel there, some very, very small figures that are way too small in relation to the figures that are in the foreground.
Yeah.
And you can see how small they are in relation to the sidewalk and the bricks. And so individually, there are pieces that could work, but put together, they're not yet put together in a way that works as a whole. And perspective is a hassle. I mean, it also, just quickly, compositionally, there's a lot of dead space in that panel. You really want to take everything that's there and bring it all together. And let me show you, if I was going to draw that panel, let me find my pencil, which I dropped on the ground. to get out of here. Well, let me. Okay. So I can't see it on the screen now. That's all right. But Eric, if you wouldn't mind just putting it up again, just quickly, if you can.
Sure.
I've forgotten completely. Okay. So I've got my sidewalk kind of here. I've got a car here. I'm just going to rough in some things quickly, just as like a general thing. I've got my figures kind of here. Some more here. More here. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do, because I'm looking down on it, I want things to be getting larger as they come toward me. So I'm just going to basically create some perspective like that. I have my sidewalk coming across like this. So I'm just going to go with that. And then I need a third point, which I'm going to put just about here. I'm kind of guessing a little bit, but you know, I've done this a bunch. And
you'd go 3-point with this?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It needs to be 3-point. So there's my 3-point perspective, done really simply, just for the sake of a layout. But
yeah.
So now I'm going to draw. I can't remember exactly what they look like. It doesn't really matter. And my sharpener is upstairs. It's been a long weekend. All right. So I've got one figure here, and I can't quite remember what was happening. It's not really so important, but here he is. He's got another figure here, kind of grabbing him maybe. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's my two figures in the foreground. I want to make sure to not, by the way, cut off my feet at the bottom of the panel. It's always bad form.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the height of my figure is here to just about here. So if I went to the sidewalk, which is here, figures up there would be about that tall.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have a figure that would fit just about like this. Put another one here. They would be just about that big. So not even that much smaller. Now, if I'm going to put some more figures here, I'm going to draw a line to here, and they would be just about that big. So here's another couple of figures here. And if I wanted to draw some figures here, let's say, I could just take this here, and I'm lining it up completely, but I could actually bring them up just a little bit higher. So I'm going to line it up to here. I'm going to bring that to just about here, and they'd be about that big. So let me put in a couple more figures here. There's my feet. And you can see how I could quickly populate a whole scene just inferring my figures from one set to another without losing my size. Everything kind of works. Now for a car, you have your car in a different angle. I could find the points and do all that, but I'm just going to kind of fake it because I've done it a lot. If you haven't done it as much, maybe you want to, really work out all the extra perspective. But basically, that's kind of what I'm thinking here. I'm just going to adjust the angle. And there's basically the size of my car. I think that's pretty consistent with my figures. I've got my sidewalk here, my building back here. And now everything kind of works, in a size that makes sense and kind of integrates together. And I just used inference to make my figures all work together. It doesn't, the head's really big here. Like, it's not perfect. It's just a layout, but you can see how I can really quickly make all those things in that scene work. And not have that happen. It's actually pretty easy to do that once you kind of get the hang of it.
Right. So it also looks like you zoomed in a lot there too. Is that because you mentioned the dead space that was happening around the main figures?
Well, part of it is I zoomed in because where you had those figures, you couldn't make them that small. So I didn't even really have to zoom in so much. And I did zoom in because, you had way too much dead space. But just had you drawn everything actually in perspective, those figures would have been quite a bit larger. But yes, I did also kind of come in a little bit. Like having your main element in your panel here, if I draw, my panel kind of like this, and having these figures. Part of the reason I drew one here too is I can kind of surround them. I could draw, let's kind of infer a size down here to get a figure right here. It's going to be about that big, and I'll draw another figure here. And maybe another one here. I can just fake that one in there. And I can kind of surround these guys with figures and just make it a little more interesting visually, maybe a couple more here. And try and create a bit of a composition around them as opposed to just kind of disparate elements just placed wherever. So.
Gotcha.
I think the perspective in the last panel works much better for sure. I don't have any problems with any of the sizing at all. I will say it could certainly be cleaner in terms of like the lines that you have. The woman's got her arm up in the air. You've got some horizontal lines behind her, and they start really coming off at angles that are too messy.
Yeah.
And that is because you have the screen vertical in front of you, you're kind of drawing along that screen. You really need to tilt it so your hand is going in a natural flowing way. Like your hand will naturally flow in a certain way easier. And so you want to avoid fighting your hand, which it looks like you're doing with those lines.
Yeah. You mentioned that earlier in the stream, and I was going to ask about that because when you're going one way, it works really well. But as soon as lines start going the other direction, it's hard.
Yeah.
It naturally go that way. So how do you account for that?
I just turn the page. So like if I'm coming along and, that's not really working, I'll just turn the page so my hand naturally goes along it easier. So like if I were drawing that, here's the wall here. I can kind of bring my hand around here. Can you see that? Okay. And do that line, and I'm kind of okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I'm going to see where I start to really pin and have trouble. I'm still kind of okay, but I'm having to really come around on it. It's getting uncomfortable. And now things will really start to get messy because my hand's all wrapped. So what I would do is I would just turn my page, and now I can just make it nice and comfy and not fight my hand. And I can just follow my hand around it. I find where I have trouble is drawing on the live stream. I don't like to turn my page too much because it's distracting. So I end up really wrapping my arm around to try and combat that. But yeah, that's how you can make it really easy to do that. Okay. So you just have to be aware of it. If you're not, like I learned to be aware of that because I worked in a studio with Mark Silvestri, who said, just do that, But if you don't have that, it can be easy to, like, it seems obvious when somebody says it. It seemed obvious to me, but it wasn't before somebody told me.
Yeah. Do you have your desk or your table that you draw at, do you have that at a slant at all, or do you draw it with parallel to the ground?
My desk is probably at between 5 and 10% slant, so very, very minor, because I've got my camera and all the stuff on my desk. So it's just, I prefer more of a slant. It's more comfortable. I don't love it, but I can't put my camera on my desk if I slant it too much. It'll just slide down. So it's a compromise.
Sure.
So the first panel on this page, certainly you have room for dialogue, which is good, but you would want a lot of dialogue because otherwise you have quite a bit of empty space. But I think all in all, it works. It is a panel where, because it's just a little bit floating, it could read as just a bit flat. And this is where learning perspective, even just like from a simple layout standpoint, the way that I did here, I did a 3-point perspective, but just using, like, I'm just going to just work on that panel just a little bit. I'm not going to use any actual perspective here. And there's not going to be much here, Eric, so don't bother. But, well, too late. Okay. So, no, it's fine. So I'm just going to, I don't even need vertical lines. I mean, I just want something really simple. So that's just enough to give me something. So now I've got my figure in the foreground, or the figure on the right. maybe it's kind of cooler if I'm looking up at him. I don't even remember. It doesn't matter. Point is, he's here. And he's in perspective now. So he actually looks like he's in a space. And now I've got this other guy, and I'm going to draw him in a space. Like in the same perspective. And you can see how that, like, immediately now really, it doesn't look like two people flat to a panel, like a, you know, kind of Dagwood cartoon sort of a thing. It looks more like a panel that exists in, you know, in a, like you've positioned a camera in a scene.
Yeah.
You know, and because I have an idea of what my perspective is, it would make it really easy for me to draw any kind of background in there that, you know, I could want. Like maybe it's a doorway here and a window here, you know, whatever. Anyway.
Yeah.
It opens up so many more possibilities in terms of laying out your shots, and you don't end up with something that looks a little bit more flat to the camera because there isn't perspective there. You don't need to actually draw a linear perspective to make this work. Like, to make it work, you can either just be able to visualize it, so you don't have to do that at all, or you can just do something really quickly like I did there, just enough to give you something to kind of work with. But I recommend it.
Can I ask another question with that? I'm sorry, I'm so full of them. But something that I struggle with, and this is so specific, but heads at an upward angle, for some reason the jaw just kills me every time.
It's a very common problem. So let me, you know what, I don't have a sharpener, so I'm gonna switch to this pen here, but I'm gonna draw my head kind of from the angle that I had defined there. Draw sockets for my eyes. My nose is going to be about here. My chin will be about here. I'm going to wrap my, he's actually looking down here, but I've already kind of gone the other way. So my ear is going to line up here and round around the head and just be about here. Like this. My mouth. And yeah, where it can get difficult is getting that chin and working out that angle. So your jaw, the back of the jaw, is close enough to the back of the mouth, maybe a little higher. And then on the other side, you're gonna round around. So my chin line will round around to about here. I've got the back of my chin here. On the other side would be just about here. And the bottom of my chin is here. So the other side, I don't really see it here. If I would have angled it up just a little bit more, you would really see the other side of that. I feel like I chose an angle that really didn't define it that much, so it's not really all that helpful. Apologies. Yeah, you know what? I would need white out the face. I'm overthinking what I'm trying to show you to the point where I could have ruined it, but I'm going to show you a cheat.
Hey, it makes me less nervous, so thanks.
Well, hold on. We're going to do this again. Here's my Henry Cavill head.
Sweet.
For when you try to do something like this and you totally fall on your face. So I'm going to angle it in about that way. And you can see how I'm angling back from the eye toward the ear, and how I could basically draw a line back toward it, back from the mouth toward the corner of the jaw. And you can see, I said I couldn't really see it, and it is true. I can't really see it from this angle, but I still can see the line under the chin, which I started getting a little lost there. But the whole thing has a construction. So you've got the front plane of the face generally, and you have the side planes of the face. And if you take the lines from your eyes, wrap them to the side from the front of your face where your nose is, wrap that to the side from your mouth, and wrap that to the side, you'll get a sense of where your jaw is going to connect and where all that sits. It's kind of step one a little bit. Like you want to have that general sense. So you're working with a 3D form. Then from there, it's a lot of different study. Something like this can be very helpful. I mean, you might not want to be drawing Henry Cavill every single face you draw, but you can imagine how something like this, like I want to angle the face down like this or whatever. This can be a real help. So I got this for painting, but I need to use it more for faces. It'll make my faces better. Panel 3, I think panel 2 works well compositionally. I think it works very nicely. Panel 3, I think works very well. It's very clear. It could be stronger with, especially because you're working on the computer, you can very easily draw a point and draw lines radiating to that point cleaner that will snap. Did you do it on the
computer? You elaborate? I'm not using computer, no. This is traditional.
Okay. I assumed it was a computer because you have the darks very dark. So you worked it out in Photoshop so far. Okay.
Just a little bit, yeah.
So at that point, then, I can just say, like, what I would do is, I've got my point here, and I would just take my ruler, and this is my Tombow. This is not the best ruler for it. It's a little cumbersome.
It's actually the exact one I used, so.
And then I just slowly spend half my day methodically doing this. And it's a hassle, but and you can do that too. But this is exactly how I do it. This is exactly how everybody does it. If you want it to look clean and nice, you kind of have no choice. A tool like a Tombow that goes thick to thin is kind of essential for this. So there, that's
what's that called?
This is it's called a Tombow Furunosuke, which I don't know what that means, but that's what they call it.
Okay.
It is a brush pen. I use the hard one. They also have a soft one. Just depends what you like better. There are a few different brands that sell something similar. I just like this one. But yeah, that's how you do that. It's a hassle, but the difference is stark from not doing it.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Apparently my wife had some Tombows, so
there you go. You're all set.
I didn't even know.
She put her thumb up behind you. Great. So yeah, like that panel, you could instantly make so much better just doing like it's totally worth doing because like instant improvement. I think the next panel, I really like how you did the door, like the lighting on that door, really nice. It looks like a shiny dark metal. So in terms of texture, I think that really works.
Thank you.
I am having a little bit of difficulty knowing exactly what's happening in front of it.
Yeah.
The drapery.
Yeah. It's the idea is there's supposed to be like a cloth awning above the door that gets knocked over in the previous panel there.
Okay.
Or the previous page, I mean. And so that one I struggled with quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I have to admit it doesn't read.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would say for advice for that other than to, take a sheet and drape it around or whatever and try and use that as reference.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly how I would have pulled that off either, to be honest with you. I think the last panel, there are a lot of really nice, interesting figures in there. In a lot of ways, it's my favorite panel. I can see it's a lot of character to your figures. There's some natural things going on. There's some proportional things that I definitely think could be better. But they're interesting, and every figure in that shot is individual, which not everybody does. I don't do. If I draw a crowd, I draw 3 people just with a slightly different color coat. I don't know. So yeah, I think it's nicely done. Everybody has their own pose and kind of style and look, and I like the main figure in that shot too. Like the way you defined his shoulder there. There's some anatomical, like in his stomach too. Like it feels like in that last panel, you're starting to relax a little bit, and it's kind of showing.
Thank you. I appreciate that, because I think that's one of the panels that I've been least confident in my entire work so far. So that's nice to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Seriously.
Thanks. See ya.
All right. Good night. All right. So we're going to wrap it up there for tonight, but fear not, because we will be back on Thursday, because we have quite a few. How many more people did we have, Eric?
Ooh, lots.
Okay.
There's about 10, 15 here, and then a whole stack of emails. I don't know who all correlates here, but I have taken screenshots to who's in the waiting room now. And
okay, so what we'll do is everyone that's here now, or that has, I want to say, or that has emailed by now, if we have like a crazy number of people, there is only so much we can do. We'll have to draw the line. But if you haven't reached out yet, we're not going to be able to accept it, because it'll just have to be the next round, and we'll make sure it's quite a bit sooner. But it will be back on Thursday. We'll get through everyone else and as much as we can. I think we just went just over 3 hours today. If it takes 4 hours on Thursday, we're in for it, right, Eric? I'm sorry, Eric.
yeah, oh yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
And
Yeah,
I
it's been great. It's been a huge learning experience for me as well. Just it's the quality of work is just it's great. And
Jack wants to know if he's on for Thursday. Jack, you're on for Thursday. Sorry, Eric.
Yeah, just seeing everyone grow that's what it's all about, So it's just seeing everyone's pages, and there's a learning experience in every single page that's shown. So
Well,
great.
seeing professional artists come here, working for DC and Marvel Comics that a couple years ago were still coming up and still studying, and
yeah, I think that's that's great for everyone to see that that could be them too. So
yeah. Well, it's this is how everybody it's how I started. It's how everybody I know that works in the business started. Is you do samples, put as much work into it as you can, get your heart broken, have that happen several times over, and keep persevering, and then one day you get your first job, and that's never easy too, and it's always a slow struggle, but it is the greatest job in the world. I love it. I love drawing. I hope that with the channel we can help you as much as possible, and we'll be here to help as much as possible again on Thursday. So if you didn't get in today, and I know that's a lot of you, we'll be here for Thursday night. I think, Eric, I wouldn't mind planning for the same time, so 8:30, just because it gives me time to help my wife with the horses, so she's not
right
herself.
Sounds good to me. So same time, same place. I'll also put a post up in the community tab again, but yeah, I mean, everyone that's here, I think, should probably fill a lot of the backstage again. So, but I'll post it nonetheless, and we'll be back. Yeah.
All right. Well, good night, everybody. Thank you for being part of our stream, and for showing your work, and for being so incredibly talented. And we will see you on Thursday. And let me minimize this, or I can't end the stream. All right. Good night, everybody.
Okay, good night.